Hello, everybody. Welcome to Side Quests. Welcome to the party's weekly one-shot series. I should wave. Waving is nice. Hello. Tonight we are playing Project Galileo, which is a Trophy Dark one-shot. So Trophy Dark is the system we are using. It is a horror game set in space. So these four lovely people are playing awesome characters that I'm going to probably bring through the ringer on Mars tonight. So that's super. Before we jump in and get started with the game and introducing our players, a couple of announcements. So a big thanks to our sponsors, a huge thanks to Tabletop Loot, our amazing dice sponsor. They are the providers of fine dice for all of your gaming needs. Trophy Dark is a D6 system. It uses a lot of them. So if you need extra D6s, head on over to tabletoploot.com and use the code WTTPDICE to get 15% off your next purchase. And Maddie and his amazing merch shop are the sole provider of Welcome to the Party merch. So head on over to sonerdwear.com and use the code WELCOME at checkout to get 10% off of your next purchase. So Nerdwear, what the nerds wear. And finally, Welcome to the Party is proudly supported by Devin Rue, who has provided huge support to the community since we launched. So for some of the best cartographical content on the web, check out rueinc.com. And as always, you can join us on our amazing Discord. Come hang out with these lovely people, other lovely people, and maybe even get yourself in on a game of side quests or two for the rest of the season. A note on that for the rest of the season, side quest is almost exclusively, I think we might have a couple that are not, but we are trying to highlight and spotlight games that were available in the itch Games for Racial Justice bundle. There's a lot of really good stuff in there, so our awesome GMs are going through all of that and pulling out some great games to play and highlight. Project Galileo is one of those. It is by Ember and Ash, so if you like what we're playing tonight, go check that out. And with that, I want our players to introduce themselves and their characters, so say who you are, who you're playing, pronouns, and anything else you would like to share about your character. So we will go counterclockwise from the overlay with me and start with, is it Shay Foxy or She Foxy?
Hey.
Shay, all right.
Hi, I'm Shay Foxy. I'm playing a character tonight named London Adamia, and she is a little bit interesting. I don't know what to say and what not to say yet, so I'm just going to comment that I decided to vaguely cosplay my character, which is why I was wearing her pretty headscarf tonight, just to get into the mood so that I can feel all the more attached when Sarah destroys me, since I'm sure that's going to happen. I'm Shay Foxy on the webs at deviantart.com and Twitter and Twitch TV, where I am hosting us tonight, so that hopefully I can get a few more people looking in on Welcome to the Party, where I have tons of fun playing in side quests and also going to be DMing one coming up August 3rd. I'm going to be playing Knights of the Kitchen Table, which is from the Ichio Racial Justice Bundle. And it's going to be an absolute hoot. So I need players. And if you want to play, come on, join us and Welcome to the Party and jump on in and sign up.
Awesome. And to Angela.
Hello there, wonderful people who will, I'm sure, only be seeing happy fun times and not terrible existential dread prompted by Sarah. I'm not at all. Everything's fine. We're all fine. This is fine. I'm Angela. I'm here joining this wonderful cast of people. I'm going to be playing Alice Rodriguez. She is a mycologist with a particular focus in space-based hydroponics and other materials and such related to other things in that practice and study related to such things. So yeah, mostly the person trying to see what sort of odd things exist out in space and what sort of things might be grown and or cultivated for potential medicinal and other properties.
Nice. And KP.
Hi, everybody. I'm KP of KP11 Photos. We'll be playing Pratik Acharya tonight. He's a doctor in archaeology, specifically xenoarchaeology, so he loves investigating potential extraterrestrial finds. And he's on this mission because he was hoping that there might be any evidence or anything that he could potentially see of said extraterrestrial life, if at all. He also has a passion in cooking, which has now made him the de facto cook of the expedition. So if you like spicy food, you're in good hands. If you don't, I am sorry, because life is spice, and if you don't have it in you, I'm sorry. Aside that, he's a little bit up, maybe a little pompous. I'm going to try my best to act that out, so I apologize if I don't make it. But he's a little stuck up, not to the level that he's going to be annoying or mean, but it's there. You could feel it. So there you go.
Are you sorry about the spice though, at all? Really?
I decline to answer that question.
Fair enough. And finally, Ulfrig.
Hello, I go by Ulfrig on the interwebs. I will be playing Ingrid Lingstrom, who is a Finnish engineer and also has a secondary skill in piloting, who would really like to buy out her contract with Anatect. Maybe was not quite everything that she had hoped when she left Finland.
Deal. And I'm Sarah. I'm playing everybody else who, for the moment, is just the entire planet Mars. So that's what I'm doing with my night. Again, Trophy Dark is designed primarily as a horror system, and that is what we were playing tonight. So my personal aim for it, because I know horror is a very big genre, is, what did I actually call it? Creepy with a side of existential terror, also dread, lots of dread, is the specific subgenre of horror that I am aiming for. So just keep that in mind. And if you, as viewers, it heads into territory that you're not chill with, please take care of yourselves, wander off, etc. Same with players. You all know how I roll stuff, though. Good too. Oh, great.
Am I going to regret playing tonight, Sarah? Am I going to have nightmares?
Probably. This is not Waverly.
Yes.
Are we using the X card?
Yes, X and an O cards are in play as well. So if anybody needs to X out of something, I've got Zoom chat up, or we'll throw O in there to make sure everybody's okay, etc. So all very in play. All right. So the year is 2033. The four of you have been pursuing your scientific exploration on Mars. You are 11 months into the 12 that you have signed up to spend on the Galileo base. After that final month, you will board your shuttle and return to Earth. Much of the operation of the structures of Galileo base is automated, which allows you to spend most of your time on your own research. Today, however, a mining drone on a routine sampling program broke through a wall into a cavern. Originally, you and the rest of the Galileo staff assumed that the cavern was natural, but as the drone moved in and sent back video feeds, it quickly became apparent that this cavern was in fact the result of construction and not any natural causes. Finding the first evidence of another intelligent species would be the most important scientific discovery in history. The four of you decided to explore it as a group and share in the glory that will soon be coming your way. You have all suited up in your EVA suits and headed over to where the drone has broken through the wall in the cavern. Everything is red rock and red dust, a very familiar sight that you've all been staring at for the last 11 months. You have descended through following kind of the way the mining drone has cut out rock, and stop just inside the cavern. You see the drone is a little bit ahead of you, and you don't quite follow it all the way through. The drone has sent back pictures of a worked stone hallway, very, very tall and just a little bit narrow. You can walk through just fine, one single file, but it's maybe a little bit close in, slightly claustrophobic. You see metallic panels lining the wall, all about 6 feet above the floor, but at slightly irregular intervals. As you are about to step foot into this cavern, you abruptly see a flash of blue light. The drone's camera that had been sending back images to your HUD in your heads-up display in your helmets sends the image of an electrical arc across the screen before abruptly showing you static and then going blank. The drone lies smoking at the end of this hallway. and the hallway with the metal panels lies in front of you, and it slightly curves to the right at the end of it. What do the four of you do?
Since we actually all do know each other, and I was just assuming we didn't necessarily know much about each other, I'll go ahead and throw in that my character is a structural engineer skilled in aesthetic design and also has a background in linguistics and therefore interpreting symbols and communication. So that's kind of what I'm here for.
Gotcha.
That being said, the hallway is of interest to me because I want to look at it and make sure that it looks like it's structurally sound and going to, hold up and everything.
Yeah. The mining drone has made its way through. It broke through a cavern wall. The hallway that it has started traversing down was already built. The drone didn't kind of build that hallway from there. It created the tunnel that you all walked down, but now this is that, I'm not going to say man-made, but something else made hallway. Looking around it, it looks really secure and steady. There's no sign of, there's some dust from age, but there's no sign of rocks having fallen from the ceiling or other parts that have caved in.
Okay.
But Pratik is just gonna, you could see he's very excited, like a big grin on his face, and he's ready to go in there. He's like, to his understanding, this is the biggest find of his life. Like, this is what culmination of everything he's wanted to do this entire trip. So he's like inching closer and closer to the opening. Like, if any moment anybody even just shows the inclination to want to go in, he'll be the first one in there. And just like London had mentioned, Pratik is so a little about him. He's a bit of a physically on the shorter end, just a 5'2" in height, brown skin, black hair, very much business cut like. You could see it's very neatly combed, a little bit of hair oil in there, like coconut oil, to help kind of give it that shine. He's very even though he's supposed to be an archaeologist and he's supposed to have that demeanor of ready to get down and dirty into things, he seems to have this bit of prep school boyish kind of look to him, very clean cut and nicely dressed, not nicely, but properly dressed, tucked in shirt kind of a situation. And you see a utility belt around him with various archaeological tools that might be needed, like chisel, a small hammer, things like that. A nice flashlight on one side, so like I mentioned, he's an archaeologist and also a cook of this group. And yeah, that's pretty much what you see of him.
I think Alice might be quite used to seeing Pratik's enthusiasm at any, I'm imagining if it's been 11 months, there might have been established patterns where every time there's been a near find, it's like imagining a very excited puppy is just wait, there's a treat.
Yes.
It's that kind of energy. So I imagine she's probably, since there's a definitive tunnel here, she's probably putting a hand on Pratik's shoulder and is like, mind if I check first that there's nothing poisonous or terrible before we go inside? There's nothing growing here. I prefer you live by that.
Yes. That sounds. Yeah. Can just. Yeah. Go ahead.
She's like, she slightly tightens the grip on his shoulder, just being like, calm down.
Oh yeah.
The most well put together.
I'm calm. I'm cool. It's all good. Yeah. It's not like I'm staring at the biggest find of our life right in my face, and I'm at that precipice of just jumping in. Yeah, no, not at all. So please, go ahead. Just expediency.
Would you like to jump in directly into a flower pit of poisonous shrooms or anything?
No. That's what. No, come on. How could I give up my life right before something like this? So
it's not a matter of you giving it up. I trust you. Something taking it. There's a difference.
No, that's what I'm saying. I agree. What I'm saying is me being so close and then losing my life would be the biggest joke of my career, or probably any archaeologist's career. So no, definitely not doing that. But if you can do your best.
Alice is already starting to like move forward. Her
Okay.
whole like movement pattern is very skittish. This does not look like an area she's very comfortable moving into. She's used to working in the lab. She's used to working with her fungi. A direct mission out. She goes occasionally, but this is not her thing. So she's like, it's like muttering under her breath, "Oh, this is a mistake. This is a mistake. This is a mistake. I should
I
not
mean,
have done
Pratik
this."
is not a fun guy.
Well,
he's
take care,
definitely a lot
everything.
more like
Fun.
I was debating making the
Sorry,
same
it
joke.
was right there. It was right there.
I
I
saw
mean, he
your
would
face.
also be up in there, but there isn't much room.
It has begun.
Welcome to Side Quest, everyone.
You may not like him very much right now, but I'm sure he'll grow on you.
All I can hear in my head, and I'll imagine like I'm imagining this is in character as well between the whole party, is her just saying, "So you've chosen death." That's the only meme I have going through my head. But she will just start like stepping
Walking
forward to
through.
just
Okay.
take a look ahead. She is up front.
Yeah. Okay. So as Alice walks down this hallway, skittishly and just kind of keeping an eye on things, you do see, just FYI, you all are in EVA suits. So just, for context there. You kind of scanned your flashlight down the hallway. You don't see anything growing in there, but what you do see is occasionally some electricity will arc back and forth between some of the metal plating, and you can also see the utterly smoking ruins of the drone on the ground.
Ingrid will pick up one of the slightly ferrous rocks from the surface of Mars and just like, are the plates, are they like at either side of the hall always facing another one? Yeah,
they're at irregular intervals. They're not like lined up against each other. So it looks like if there was electricity arcing, it goes from one to the other, but it's kind of like in a diagonal pattern.
She will take one of the iron rocks and throw it in between a couple of the panels to see if that does anything. Also, Sarah, your cat just walked across your background and it was like so perfectly lined up with the pond. It's delightful.
Thanks, Sarah. Thanks, cat. So, okay, yeah, you throw that down and it does, the electricity kind of catches it partway through. Similar effect to what happened with the drone.
Gonna take another rock and toss it so that it's just underneath them.
Nothing happens.
Perhaps we should stay below the panels, Ingrid will say, and kind of duck down and start walking forward a little bit.
It looks structurally sound to me.
Pratik's definitely he's getting kind of dangerously close to the panels, but he's like just trying to observe and just looking at it, goes, fascinating. The technology they were able to harvest, based on this, they were able to harvest electricity and project it in a sense to create arcs between two plates. I mean, that's a very rudimentary form, but yes, but to be able to generate such a strong electrical force, they were properly advanced for what they were, for sure, at least. And he looks at it. Who's the engineer of our? Oh yes, it's Ingrid. It's like, Ingrid, do you think you can perhaps look at what the mechanics behind this is?
If there is a safe way to pull a plate off the wall, I think I can do that. Yeah.
I mean, I leave it up to your expertise, and obviously, safety is key, I'm sure, but just this is so wonderful.
I would do I want to do something silly already?
You can.
Do the thing.
Yeah, so let's say that Ingrid has like a space toolkit, which is totally a thing
Yeah,
now.
she would. Yeah, totally.
And so she's going to take out a space screwdriver, which is a lot like a regular screwdriver,
But
except
it's a space screwdriver because you're in space right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Makes sense to me.
And try and like jam it kind of under the bottom edge of one of the plates, see if there's any wiggle room between the plate and the rest of the wall. Like she's ducking underneath it, like arm up in the air.
Okay. Go ahead and make me a risk roll. So you're going to roll one light die for doing the thing and another for using your background.
Okay. So one light die, two light die, no dark die?
Two light die. No dark die.
Cool.
Unless you're willing to risk life and limb for this, then you can add the dark die in.
No, not
Okay.
yet. 4 and a 5.
Okay. Where
So
did that
highest
go?
is a 5.
Highest is a 5. Yeah,
That means
I have that somewhere. Yeah,
I
you
succeed,
there's
but
some
there's
kind
a
of
complication.
Yeah, there's a complication. Yep. So you're able to, you jam the, actually, what does this look like when you do it?
I think it's very timid. Yeah, she's ducked underneath and she's trying to work it in from the side and will undoubtedly squeak and flee in terror if anything goes wrong.
Okay. So as you're doing that, you're able to, you get the screwdriver wedged in there and use it kind of crowbar-ish to pry that panel off the wall. The panel does pop off, but in the process, the metal of the screwdriver against the metal of the plate just gives you a slight shock in your, on your suit. Nothing harmful or fully damaging, just like the panel on your arm that tells you like how much oxygen and everything you have left just kind of flickers for a minute, but then goes back normal.
Well,
But you have successfully
Okay.
popped one of the things off.
now that it's popped up, she'll kind of like peek up. It's about 6 feet up. She's slightly taller than average. Let's say she's about 5'10" or so. So she's standing on her tiptoes and still can't quite see up there.
Great.
So
You can, I mean, like you can step back and you can kind of like, you can't quite get a good angle at it, but you can still see. It's some wiring and like kind of what you would expect when you pry an electrical panel off the wall. Something's a little off with it though. Like some of the lighting in it doesn't quite pulse the way that it should if something is working correctly.
Oh, okay. Pratik is just fascinated. He's just staring at it. My God. All right.
Nice like green glow behind it.
What I could do if I had to have a stepping stool right now.
I can give you a
You
boost.
do, I forgot to mention that you all do have, in addition to any gear that you might have from your, logically from your background or occupation, you also have 2 basically backpack slots, each of you, where you could just declare that you have a thing. And then it uses up that slot, but then you have the thing. So you can, if you want to use one of those, you can say you have a stepping stool. Or
There you go.
reasonably carry. I mean, you're not going to have a 6-foot tall ladder, but you could have something that could be a
It could be a collapsible,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah, I was gonna say one of those, like, because I've seen some of those, and I'm assuming 2033. There's been some advances in
Yeah.
portable heightening
Yeah, you could say,
devices.
you can use one of those slots and say that you have one of those with you. Yeah.
Yeah, I'd like to have that, and so hopefully it's high enough that I can comfortably look into the panel.
Yeah.
Actually, before just to be safe, I'm gonna toss another rock between the 2 panels,
Okay.
and just to see if there's an arc.
Between the 2 panels or below the 2, the way that Ingrid had?
Which
trying
one
to
was the
aim for, like-
one that? No, as in which one was the one that incurred the arcing or the electrical shock?
If you threw it like directly between the 2, underneath did not.
Yeah.
Like it's not going to do it if there's panels. Okay.
True, but I was thinking. I'm assuming that if I were to climb up, I would have to look into that panel, so that would mean that my head then would come between those
Yep.
that area where it should arc.
Luckily, when you throw a rock this time, it it seems like the second panel on the other side that Ingrid did not pry off is trying to connect some sort of electrical charge. Like you hear kind of the buzz and the ramp up for it, but it doesn't arc this time. It seems that it needed to have that other panel as a receptor.
Perfect. Yeah, so then I would like to go and look inside.
Okay. So you stand on the step stool and look in. Again, it's got this sort of almost the color of Ulfrig's background green. Like kind of an aurora shifting green that kind of goes from one to another and kind of like pulses in and out with intensity as well. There's just something a little bit off about it. You've done enough archaeology and studied enough, like, archaeology things and just have enough knowledge to know that it's super unlikely that a society would build a system where the lights flash at irregular intervals if something is working. And so there's just something about the way that the lights are flashing and kind of chasing each other that indicates to you that something about this is not working quite as intended.
It is
whether it's age or broken, you don't know, but it's just something isn't quite working right.
All right. As an archaeologist, I'm assuming I have some form of like camera or something to take pictures of various things. So I kind of looks down, pats down to make sure where his utility belt is, and then finds a small camera, like kind of digital style camera that's attached to it magnetically, pulls it off, and still has like a little one of those retractable strings, nylon ropes to it, so that it doesn't like fly away. None of his tools can fly away because of that, just because of space, makes sense to me. And so you just see that, and then, and he just starts taking pictures of the various internals, as well as like just and then he turns around and takes pictures of the still intact plate, just to show how it's supposed to look like. And tries to like take as much of the components as he can before getting back down, because he doesn't understand what's wrong with it. He's just documenting and detailing things.
While Ingrid and Pratik are messing with the panel, Alice and London, what are you two doing? I know, Alice, you were starting to walk down the hallway until you saw the energy arc.
Yeah, I think she's waiting to get the go ahead from Ingrid, but she is kind of curious at what Pratik has been looking at as well, so she might also go and take a look to see if there's anything she might recognize, if there's anything organic in relation to what is actually involved with all the wiring, or if it's purely mechanical.
You do get a sense of it's a biomechanical. There is something organic about this. It's primarily mechanical, but you can see that there's like something like liquid or something that indicates there's an organic component to this system, as well as electric.
Okay. There's something, well, if not alive, then at least something organic. If not with full consciousness or what have you, there is a biological component to this material. I would suggest we be very careful with interacting with it directly.
Biological, as in it's alive.
Yes, as to whether or not it's sentient or anything on the same caliber as our own sort of thinking potential, I can't say, but it's something living is inside of this.
It's quite stationary. It's not like it is trying to communicate or do anything. It's just dull flashing. So perhaps bioluminescence of some sort?
Probably.
If that's the case?
That's my best guess.
Could we possibly take some samples? Is it saved? And do any of you guys have anything that's insulated, like a insulated screwdriver or something that perhaps make contact without potentially killing us?
I'd say that Alice, as the biologist, you would probably have some sort of sample collecting kit on you.
Yeah, I'm kind of imagining it as like there's almost like a jewelry box sized kit with a little topper to it that it's a few random mechanical components, and there's a little like old-fashioned like pinwheel sort of lock to it. There she puts 666 for the code putting it in, and opens it. There's a few little like vials that are sort of locked into these like little, not quite holsters, but holders on the side of each of these of each of the 4 squares of this box. And there's probably like, even though she's already wearing a suit, there's probably another set of gloves in the box itself that she puts on, just mainly for handling anything corrosive, because her immediate thought is, liquid. This will burn or kill me. Her immediate thought is anything on here will probably kill me. So let's start with that assumption and work from there. And she will imagine she's just slightly more advanced version of like tweezers, but more just to handle like very delicate materials. And I think she's going to try and finagle that, but she will be working on that and happily give attention over to London as well, because I know you also asked for what London was doing in this moment.
Being very skeptical of the biological components here, because that doesn't make a lot of sense on any level that is from her background. So she's watching them and kind of just, I don't know, silently judging them, because they seem to be doing this like kind of from a crazy perspective to her, like, what are you guys doing, you know? So
why are you touching the weird technology?
Yeah, like maybe we should not this. So she's not going to say anything. She's just going to kind of stand there and watch them with her arms crossed, like, what the, you know?
I know this perspective. This is the judgmental enabler. I like this perspective.
All right, so Alice, as you're collecting that, I need you to make me a risk roll as well.
Gotcha.
You will get, again, the light die for doing it, and then the other one for your biologist background.
Oh, those are terrible rolls. That's a 1 and a 2.
Oh.
Let's start it off right, people.
Okay. So, yeah, right? All right. So you reach in trying to get a sample of that, and it is in fact corrosive and starts eating away at not only the gloves, but the equipment that you're trying to put it in. It starts eating through the sample container as well if you've souped some in. So it is eating through your outer layer of gloves very quickly, and also now there's a nice hole in the bottom of your sample container, and the stuff is dripping onto the ground and kind of hissing.
11 months and only one other incident beyond this. She's immediately thrown off the gloves.
What did you expect to happen? You're messing around with something you have no idea what it is.
Are you okay?
Well, at least we're trying to do something.
I am wondering if it is very acid or very basic.
It's a little bit of both.
I mean, if we can possibly take some samples without killing ourselves in the process, I'm sure we could be able to find out. But hey, this is what we signed up for. This is what we are here for. We're here to investigate. We're here to document and scientifically get what's going on, you know. So here we are. This is it. Definitely, we need to put a bit more precaution, because it seems several of the mechanics and for lack of a better word, traps, booby traps. We definitely need to proceed with caution. Luckily, we were able to disassemble one of them, but shall we proceed?
We shall.
All right.
So
Pratik
Pratik starts moving forward.
The hallway. Okay.
Yeah.
How are you proceeding forward? Like, just are you walking? Are you crawling? Are you like climbing the wall?
Well, But right now, I'm assuming Pratik's short enough, considering he's only 5'2", to go right
yeah.
underneath the panel. So he's going there. He's definitely still very excited. He's trying to be careful. But I wouldn't be surprised if he catches something that very much interests him, that he's going to possibly just beeline towards it. So, yeah, he's going to proceed forward.
Alice is trying to follow, but she is significantly taller, as in she's like minimum 6 foot tall. Because I never make short ladies; they're all always tall. So, she's probably like trying to keep up with him, but also is like small like frog web crawling or like little spidery crawling across the floor.
And Ingrid in London, are you following?
Yeah, Ingrid will stop when I get to the probe and just kind of investigate it, see if there's anything else any other information I can glean from it.
I follow along behind and watch what the other ones are doing and kind of try to keep an eye out on what the place looks like, and if I can kind of determine anything about like what would be a reasonable layout, like where's reasonable for this to go, or what kind of things we would expect to see connected to it based on the types of structures, then that's what I'm keeping an eye out for.
Okay. So the hallway you're walking down, again, it is very tall and narrow. You can walk, like it's wide enough for you to walk single file, but it is just slightly narrower than is comfortable. It feels a little claustrophobic. Through here, the hallway, the drone is partially melted from getting shocked. So it didn't get super far down the hallway, so you don't have a lot of imagery of what might lie beyond. So Ingrid, what are you hoping to glean from the drone? If anything.
Well, the fact that it's melted is itself interesting. Just trying to find out more about like how it was damaged, and was this purely electrical, or was there something else that was a part of it? Yeah.
Okay. It looks like it was electrical. It's along the lines of a pretty nasty, because the drone itself was electrical, and getting shocked by the electrical arc, especially if that electrical arc is in some way malfunctioning, as Pratik noticed with the light situation. It might be delivering a higher electrical pulse than was originally intended, so that the drone itself was destroyed. You do not see any other damage, any kind of physical evidence that it was tampered with by another entity of any sort.
Okay.
Just the electrical damage, scorch marks, etc.
Don't really have a whole lot to add after that, actually. Let's go.
That's fair. All right. So you make it down the hallway, and the hallway does start to curve a bit out of view of the original entrance that you were in. And you come to a simple door. The door is as tall as the hallway is. The hallway is probably about like 10 feet tall. So that the panels are somewhere in the middle of it. So the door goes almost all the way to the top of it. It is as narrow as the hallway itself. And there is a handle on it. It is some sort of knob. It's got about 6 prongs on the outside of it, and that is smack in the middle of the door.
Does the door appear like it would open side to side or split down the middle, or?
It looks, if you were to use the knob, that it would open in and out like normal
Okay.
doors. Yeah. It's a manual door. It won't open.
Okay.
Ingrid will do her trusted throw a rock at it and see what happens.
The rock bangs into it and bounces off back at you.
Oh, Ingrid grabs it and opens the door.
Will this electrify me? No? Okay, let's go.
Nope.
Science.
Yes,
Yes.
this is science, everybody.
Well, that's very much in
Sometimes
character
the-
judgment.
Yeah.
I have determined it is safe. Now we go through the door.
Pratik's definitely like also like looking at the door, kind of looking for any kind of inscriptions or any telltale signs of markings or of any sort, and kind of maybe like trying to figure out what it's made of. Is it like we're on Mars? Where did they get the material? Is it stone? Is it wood? Does this show signs of like other life that could have been on Mars, just like fauna and flora, things like that? So like he's investigating all of that as well, with just trying to look at the door.
Yeah. So it would obviously this indicates some sort of life. This is not a situation that develops naturally. Like the door's not just going to happen. So that's an obvious conclusion there. You have yet to see any, other than the bioelectric energy pieces that Alice noticed, you have yet to see any indication of flora or fauna or who built or what kind of creature built this.
All right, interesting.
Is there any sign of like age or deterioration or anything?
You see a lot of dust. Mars in general is pretty dusty, but you see dust that indicates age. But deterioration, that as you open the door, it has this awful like nails on a chalkboard shriek, and it doesn't open. It's a little sticky, like not sticky, but the door just doesn't open smoothly. It kind of indicating that it hasn't been opened in a really long time. You kind of got to put your shoulder into it.
Pratik's gonna go bring out a small chisel and kind of just tap a small chip off of, or if he could, see if he can maybe break off a small piece, just for like a sample.
Make me a risk roll for this.
Okay, just one d6.
You get one for because you're doing archaeology stuff. And if you were
Gotcha,
willing to risk life and limb for the sample of the door, you can add a dark die. I don't know that a devil's
Nope.
bargain really fits the door sample, so I'll leave that off for now.
I'll be good. All right, let's see where we go. Oh, come on, that is a 1.
Was it the highest you rolled? Did you roll double ones?
Wait, I no, because I only rolled so. Oh, I rolled the second dice.
Yeah, because you always get one for doing the thing, and then you get to add stuff for.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, let me roll a second dice then. That is a 4.
I think it's a little unclear, but we're gonna roll with that option.
Okay.
So
I got a 1 and a 4. So do I add them
Okay, so
together or?
No, we just
Or
want
whichever
the
was the highest.
number. Yep.
Okay.
So you got a 4. So you successfully you get a little chip off the door, but in the process your chisel breaks. Something about the door is very hard. So you had to work hard to get even that little chip off of it, and in the process your chisel chips at the end of it.
Oh.
If there is
That's
life
a
on
gift.
Mars,
It's still usable. It's not completely broken, but it's no longer like the flat edge of it.
if there is life
just
on
gonna look
Mars,
at
it
that.
knows we're here now.
We have known for a long time that there is life on Mars. We have found the evidence of the microbes underneath the polar ice caps.
True. This is just carbon sampling. We need to
It's
find out how long. I mean, up till now we have seen no life. It's no guarantee that there is still intelligent life in existence. So if there isn't, we need to know how long ago they used to exist. So we must have samples for carbon dating.
You two have been here too long. It's called a joke.
I'm sorry. I'm just very excited right now, and my brain is very single-minded at the moment. So do apologize if I miss things. But in that case, shall we go in further?
Yes.
And without really waiting for answer, he kind of just walks forward.
Yeah,
Ingrid
Alice has
will
been
follow.
staring at the door to see if anything was coming out because we were all like, "Oh, let's get the sample," and no one was looking at the door.
And it's the door, like through the door, you see initially just black, darkness. Behind the door, you do not see anything coming out of you.
Ingrid is also starting to get excited, so she's going to turn to Pratik and be like, so do you think there were 6 knobs on the door handle? Do you think that might indicate that these creatures have 6 digits? Could it perhaps
That
be
is
a different
I mean, that's a potential hypothesis. We can definitely investigate further, but I feel we must have more evidence to prove that. But I don't see why not. Although, we have 5 digits, but we don't have knobs that have indents for 5. So it could just be a aesthetic decision, a design decision.
London,
But
does the number 6 have any special meaning that you are aware of in various cultures?
Should I roll something since I'm design major person?
You really only roll when it's risky.
Okay,
for
so
you.
no.
So you can decide whether you know anything or that. You can choose whether your character knows anything relevant to that question or not.
all right.
There's plenty of cultures that put stock in numerical values. For me, it's more from an aesthetic standpoint. The number 6 in particular, it's symmetrical. There's that. But the doorknob was possibly just designed for aesthetics. It doesn't necessarily have to match the number of fingers to be considered pretty.
This is true. I wonder if there is significance in it being radially symmetrical or not.
Maybe there is something to it, but I certainly hope that there is something more significant in here than the shape of a doorknob for us to find.
Well, already we have determined that whoever made this is capable of understanding simple mechanics and machines. We have not seen any evidence. Electricity involving bioluminescence. We have not seen any signs of environmental controls, which would indicate that they perhaps breathe very differently than we do. I think we have discovered many interesting things.
And that's why I think we should go further in and see what else we can find.
Oh, I agree.
Oh, 100%. For sure. Let's go.
Alice is walking in with a flashlight, just trying to be sure she can see anything coming because she's increasingly becoming skittish.
Valid. All right. So with those conclusions and hypotheses made, you exit that hallway, step through the door, and we shift into our second scene of the game. You come out from the tunnel into pretty much blackness initially. The tunnel, you had your flashlights, there was like the light sparking from the drone, and you step out and it initially seems pitch black. And as your eyes adjust and as your flashlights start to pierce the darkness, they can't go super far. They go far enough, and as your eyes adjust, you see sort of that same green glow that you saw inside the electrical panel, faintly in the distance. And again, as your eyes adjust to the darkness, it seems to illuminate or sort of silhouette buildings off in the distance, or something that would indicate a structure. In that same green glow, you also see a bridge ahead of you. You are standing on a ledge, and if you peer over, it's pitch black below. So there is a bridge that leads directly to the entrance of one of those structures. And yes, so there's also, if you look down where you are, you see another bridge or staircase or something spiral down into the darkness. You lose track of it at a certain point.
Wow.
It is silent in here.
Pratik's just going to like look around. Is there any furniture, any art, anything else that indicates any form of civilization, perhaps writing of any sorts or drawings of any sort?
So you see the structures off in the distance and at the other side of this chasm, which indicates some sort of civilization. You are standing on a ledge that is, as far as you can tell, it is empty. Again, your flashlights don't pierce the darkness very far. It is very, very dense darkness. You are inside the surface of Mars at this point, so there's no sunlight or anything. It's just your flashlights and that faint green shifting glow. So you can't see very far, but you seem to be standing on just a flat ledge that then you go to the bridge, the stairs down, or off into whatever this chasm is.
Interesting. Well, since there's nothing more interesting in this area, shall we proceed?
By all means,
Well,
yes.
one thing Pratik does is there any other? I feel like rocks are going to be our best friends here. Is there any other rocks we can find nearby?
Yeah, there's a few rocks down on the ledge you can find. Yeah.
He's gonna take one of them and then he's going to go closer to the edge and just drop it down, just to see if it makes how long it takes before it hits the bottom, like just to kind of understand the depth that it goes down to.
You stand over and you drop the rock, and you don't hear anything.
He just waits and then waits. It's kind of like, I'm assuming that we all have some kind of like timekeeping device wrist or thing to keep track, some kind of like a panel or something. He kind of just looks at the panel, keeps looking down. He goes, "That is deep."
And you
That
hear
is
it
death.
land.
Oh,
Very faintly, you hear something hit the ground. Barely are able to hear that. It's so far down.
How many seconds?
okay. So
Many.
Indication of depth. That's what's being asked.
An uncomfortable number of seconds has passed.
Oh, no, you have to understand.
Ingrid immediately starts doing the math out loud, where she
Yep.
is like, "You don't." So if the gravity on Mars is 3.7 meters per second, and it took 12 seconds to fall, then that implies that this chasm is blah blah blah. Ulfrig's not going to do that math. Are you kidding me?
Totally fair. It indicates that this is based on how long it took to fall and just kind of the very faint sound. This chasm, and full disclosures to all of you in the audience, it has been a long time since Sarah has taken physics and has no concept of depth or height. So it is many hundreds of meters down.
We're gonna go with a
Or
nice
something
even
else is going on.
600.
It's either 600 meters down or something else is going on. That's
Did you account for the porous nature of the rock?
Well, once gravity, I mean, it's the same regardless. It shouldn't affect. I mean, it's not like it has a lot of surface area externally to affect the fall to a degree that it would change the numbers. I would assume at the most.
Here is only 1/100th of what it is on Earth, so it is essentially a vacuum. So
there you go.
We may as well assume that it is able to fall as if in a vacuum. So 3.7 meters per second.
Perfect.
I know
logical.
a lot of random stuff about Mars.
It's
I don't know
great.
any actual science. I just know random
No, it's
Mars
perfect.
facts because they lodged
so
in my
perfect.
head when I was
Fair.
7.
This
Never
doesn't
left.
actually surprise me, Ulfrig. This feels very
No, it
on
doesn't
brand
surprise
for
me
you.
at all.
This
Question.
is so good.
Yeah, Alice, you wanted to do something.
Question. Do we just hear it just very faintly hit, or is it like a reverberating echo that's just like filling up the entire space?
How big of a rock did you get, Pratik?
About a fist size, like that.
Size?
Yeah,
It
that's
will
small.
surprise nobody. I have several rocks of that size near my desk that I could demonstrate with.
Yes.
So.
Yep, that
like
sounds
that
right.
size.
Yeah. A bit
Shiny
more
carnelian,
porous.
very heavy. Yeah. So you take one of those and you drop it, and you hear it hit, and it is, again, it's faint because it's far down. You would expect, based on the fact that it is hitting in a cavern and you know how sound waves travel, you would expect to hear some sort of echo from it, and you don't.
Is it just like one hit? It doesn't bounce or anything like that?
One hit and that's it.
This is a question I didn't think I would ever have to ask in a game. When it land? We're asking a lot of questions about one rock. When
Totally
it
fair.
Hey, you can learn so
Overthinking
much.
it.png.
We're scientists, obviously.
When it lands, is it just a like thunk and it stops, or does it sound like it, for lack of better phrasing, does it sound like it hit something squishy?
It sounds like it hit rock.
Okay.
Ooh.
It's a rock on rock noise.
My mind went to, oh, don't worry,
Rock
there's
on rock
just
violence.
terrible. God damn it.
Yeah.
I just imagined like the worst possible scenario in my head outside of just falling down there is like, oh, don't worry, it's just, like thing somewhere down there.
No,
that was
yeah,
Whatever
no,
that creature
it's
from Empire
nothing.
Strike Back is in the asteroid.
Yeah, no, none
Oh.
of that. It sounds like it sounds like rock on rock. So
Okay.
it hit bottom there.
And the bioluminescent fungus is that. Damn it, Ulfrig. It's gonna be you the entire game. Damn it! Now I lost my train of thought.
You're asking
Is
about
it-
the bioluminescence, yeah.
Is it because you were saying is it past the bridge or is it coating along the bridge? Just to double check.
It's past the bridge, but it's close enough to the bridge that it illuminates the bridge. Like between that light and your flashlights, you're able to see that the bridge exists, but it's not on the bridge itself.
She considers going forward and attempting to cross because plot progression is a thing, but also additional thought she has is, does this feel structurally sound? She will turn to the group as a whole to ask this question before she begins doing very like shaky cat walk over the bridge.
Ingrid, just to troll, throws a rock on the bridge.
The rock. Interestingly, okay, this is good. Thank you for doing that, because you throw
Yeah.
the rock, it hits the bridge and kind of bounces a little bit, and then falls through a hole in the top of the bridge and drops through.
Oh,
And as you look closer to where that rock hit, there's several other holes just kind of at the top arch of the bridge, and that's gonna make traversing this a little, not impossible, but you're gonna have to definitely do the cat on a railing thing.
So
Yeah, that-
I was going to ask if it looked structurally sound, but now that seems like a silly question.
it looks structurally sound, as in it's not going to collapse underneath you. It's a fairly sturdy looking bridge. It looks like there was some sort of cave-in is not the right word, but like tectonic event that maybe dropped some rocks down from the ceiling with an intensity enough that broke through the top of the bridge. So the bridge itself is still intact and you can walk over it without worry of you falling because the bridge has collapsed, but the holes are irregular and they are wide and they are many. So that's what's gonna make this difficult, not the fact that the bridge is gonna drop.
Okay. So she would look at that, kind of glance at Ingrid. That was unexpected,
Yes.
but at least it looks like the bridge will hold weight.
Perhaps we should belay to each other so that we can help if one falls.
That sounds smart. Perhaps we can attach some kind of anchor to one of the rocks. I mean, I'm sure we have like what is it called? Rappelling tools, right? So something to
Yeah,
just
you've got rock climbing tool. Yeah, you've all got that base, but there is also that other staircase that you saw kind of spiraling down into the darkness. So you've got that and you've got the bridge. You don't see where that other one goes, though. You very clearly see where the bridge goes across.
So we have a fork in the road. We can take the bridge with the multiple holes, or we can take the staircase, which we have no real clear sense of where it goes.
True, but
Anyone...
it seems like more of a safer option to have something that seems structurally sound versus things that literally has holes in it that might require us to actually put on harnesses and you know, attach them to each other and you know, things like that. So I'm open to either one, but I feel perhaps the staircase would be a good option. And I am quite curious about the nature of that rock that dropped. The sound was a little off. The feel was different, and I want to know why.
London, Alice?
I'm willing
So,
to staircase.
Sure, why not?
Then we go down the staircase, and Ingrid is going to do once the decision's made.
I'm just imagining a very tall, scheming cat is what Ingrid is in our party.
She's trying very hard to act cool, but is secretly like even more excited than Pratik and like jumping out of her skin inside and all
Oh
this
yes,
stuff.
yes, my fellow partner in crime.
If you ever need someone for encouragement to do the thing, she will tell you to do the thing.
Excellent. My enabler is here.
Alice will not tell you to do the thing. Alice will be very scared, but will still be the first one to start going forward, nevertheless.
I follow. Pratik follows.
Yeah, Alice will take the lead. She's like this, like in her head, and maybe occasionally out vocally will say, "This is such a bad idea. Why did I do this mission? Why did I choose to do this?" I had my fungi. I even had some lichen that I was able to store. It was great.
All right. So you head down the stairs, and it's an odd. The stairs are not at human intervals. They're very wide stairs. So like the architecture is not a thing I do, but like the flat bit that you put your foot on in the stairs is wider than you would expect, and the drop down between this one stair to the other is also taller than you would expect, or that you were used to. Yes.
Okay. From a structural design perspective, this would indicate something to me like that probably the beings that would have designed such a thing, what can this tell me about them? Because if their stairs are designed at a different width, height, depth, does that mean that they are taller? And considering that we've looked at the doorways and the hallways, are they tall and thin? Is that what I'm getting from the architecture?
Yep. That's absolutely what you're getting. The doorknob was right in the middle of a 10-foot tall door. The hallway was tall and narrow for you, and the stairs are... thank you to Radmus Fliss in the chat for telling me how stairs work. I appreciate that so much. The rise of the stairs is taller than the average human step, so it would indicate that their legs and their gait is much longer than ours.
All right. So based on what I'm seeing from the architecture here, whoever this was designed for, is much taller and thinner than your average human. Probably quite a lot taller, considering 10-foot doors with a doorknob halfway up it.
Makes sense, considering also the panels that we were trying to look at were 6 feet above. That seems quite a distance to go for just an average height. I would assume that would mean that their reach is at least where their waist starts would be around the 5-foot mark on average. So we are dealing with quite a large entity, or civilization, I'm assuming, race, whatever you would call.
I am curious if they are bipedal. Given the doorknob height compared to the door, it is unusual that the door would go all the way to the top and not be in the and not have some sort of area in between. After all, we make 10-foot ceilings on Earth, so
True.
why not? So it could be that, but obviously they are tall. But it would seem their doorknobs are not significantly higher than our doorknobs. So
True.
perhaps it is a thing that they do not have 2 legs and 2 arms as we do. Perhaps they have some other arrangement. Perhaps they are quadrupedal.
If they were quadrupedal, the stairs wouldn't be designed like this. The stairs would be designed more based on the balance of 4 legs instead of the balance of 2 legs.
Fair
Unless
point.
I'm wrong.
Valid assumption.
Okay.
I just feel we don't have enough evidence to support either theories, so
No.
perhaps some more exploration will give us more insight. But this is quite exciting. I'm surprised we have not found any other forms of art or anything else that would indicate someone living there, just structures. I mean, it's a possibility things had deteriorated, but considering the atmosphere of Mars and the lack of atmosphere indicates that there's no possible chance of erosion or decay to happen, at least not to the same extent as back home. So you would think that more things would be here preserved, considering that we have things at dating centuries and millennias, even with erosion. So here, I would assume that things, if there's no indication of any other form of life or indication of any other form of society, this society has been extinct for possibly over maybe tens of millennia or even more, hundreds, maybe even millions.
So
Perhaps we
as
just
you are
haven't found
walking
it.
down these stairs, you see, again, everything is covered in
Dust.
red dust from Mars. And as you are walking down the stairs, you start to see, as you're kind of specifically Pratik, as you're looking for some of the stuff, you see that in the dust, but also filled in with the dust, kind of like when there's like somebody steps in mud and then or somebody steps in snow and then there's snow's on top of that. Some fairly clear prints. They are larger than a human foot, and 3-toed.
Pratik just immediately just stops.
Not necessarily toed, but like 3
digits.
Yeah.
He immediately stops, gets down, crouches down, and he goes, "Team, hold up. Oh my gosh. Come here. Do you see this?"
I do.
And I'm going to start immediately start taking pictures of it, and then take out measuring instruments like rulers and stuff. I'm going to start measuring the various dimensions of this single print, and then also measure the distance between one print and the other. Is it just, do I see 2 prints, like one on the left, one on the right, or does their indication show that there's multiple prints at different positions, indicating whether they're bipedal or more?
You see multiple prints, but they are at they're at an interval that initially indicates to you less that they are quadra or multipedal and more that there were multiple creatures.
Okay.
So like they're not quite evened up, more like there were 2 walking side by side.
Would I be able to determine then, based off of that, since I'm able to distinguish that they're 2 different individuals, especially considering that based off of the size of their feet, I'm assuming there's a variance between one being a different size versus the other.
Slightly.
Can I safely assume that they're then bipedal?
That is a safe assumption, yes.
Okay.
3 toes like this, or 3 toes like this?
Ooh,
Second
good
one.
question.
Second one.
Ooh.
Okay.
We are dealing with tripod walkers.
We are asking the important questions now.
Yeah.
We know about their feet. We know about rocks.
All you need to know. Alien
Yeah.
culture. It's all you need.
Hey,
We're
I for
barely
one would
scratching
like
the surface.
I for one would like to know what sort of implements will be used to skewer my body at some point.
I mean, we safely avoided electrocution, so that was a start.
This is true.
One thing I'm going to consider though is, I mean, is it possible that they perhaps might have been on some sort of a mount? Perhaps. I mean, it's not necessarily true that this is an actual individual. It could be something that some was riding. I don't know, like
so
a
what you see,
tauntaun.
you don't. Yeah, what you see is the tracks of two creatures of the same type with the same gait and footprints. So you can safely assume that there are, again, these footprints are filled in with some dust. So it has been years, hundreds, if not thousands or more years since anything has walked here. But you make out that there are two distinct footprints of some sort of creature, whether it's the creatures who built this structure or they are some sort of mount or pet of this. You don't know, but what you do, you only see those types of footprints on the stairs.
Based on the depth of the indent, I'm so sorry. We're gonna go very deep into this.
Fine.
I'm gonna put on a scientific hat, and I'm gonna just dissect this. Based on the depth that the imprint was, I would like to determine, perhaps, or at least make an assumption on the weight of the individual.
Weight.
So I'm going to take up one thing. I'm going to do is Pratik is going to take out a small one of those archaeological brushes, and then just start like brushing away the dust as carefully as he can without disturbing the actual footprint, and then use that to like a caliper to determine the depth of it, just to see, and then compare the depth between the two individuals, and try to determine at least an approximation based on the data that he has, the gravity of Mars and so on and so forth.
Alice, what did you have?
Is there anything coming behind us or in front of us? just gonna be that person, because I'm just imagining that the group has stopped along a spiraling staircase.
Yeah,
which
you literally stopped in the middle of the stairs.
Just for reference,
there are
me
two
as a
types
player,
of people.
That is a terrifying thought to me. Just being like, oh, by the way, we're over a big crevasse, spiraling staircase that has no railing. And we're just going to take a minute and stop and look at some footprints. I'm like, this is fascinating. Also, is anything going to kill me? That is all that's on her mind.
So there may be things that are going to kill you. You don't see any of them yet.
Well, good.
If I
don't see them, they don't exist.
What you do see as you look up from the footprint diagnosis analysis towards here is you see farther down in the stairs, just beyond where your flashlight penetrates, you start to see some of that same green glow happening from the edges of the stairs, where you can assume that the stairs go. You start to see it kind of curve around. So something of the light is it wasn't there for the first half of the staircase, but you can see it down there.
The bottom of the staircase. Oh, so that's something that will, in a way, be present if we go all the way down.
Yep.
I also wanted to
interestingly of note, that green glow is not far enough down to be the bottom of the chasm.
Joy. So that will be a deterrent of some kind. Excellent. Also would love to give a shout out to Radmus Fliss asking us, how many rocks can you fit in the footprint?
Yes. So back to Pratik and the footprints. So it's the way that the footprints are, it's not like somebody walked in concrete and then have dust filled in. It's again, when it snows and then you step on it and then more snow comes on top of that. So it's a little hard without having an indication of how, you can see how much dust had fallen before it had stepped on, but then you on top, so you can kind of get a relative thing, but you can't actually determine quite how long ago this was. You do get the sense, just based on age, the door creaking as you opened it opened in. and a few other things. You get the sense that like whatever these creatures were that passed through here, it has been, again, hundreds, probably more along the line of thousands of years since anything has walked here, especially because this is inside and like not going to get hit by dust storms.
So I'm going to relay that information to the rest of the team. Just going to mention, so based on what we see here, I don't think, aside from us four, there is any other living creature, or at least none that have passed this area. There's no other footprints, and these that are here are at least centuries, if not millennia old. Can I determine, based on the comparison between the two footprints, whether or not one is heavier than the other? And based on the size, I can maybe make an assumption based on just relative age, relative weight between them.
Relative age, not so much, because you don't have enough information on that, but relative weight, the one on the left is heavier and bigger, larger than the one on the right.
Okay. So
not significantly, but enough to be noticeable, but nothing that would indicate like a massive difference, in size of the creature.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. But yeah, he's gonna continue to take pictures, and then after he's determined he's harnessed as much information as he can from it, he's gonna then be like, all right, well, I think I got what we need. Shall we get going?
2 questions about your pictures for you. Number 1, are you using a flash? And number 2, are you looking at the pictures when you're done with them, or are you just taking them and putting the camera away to be reviewed later?
Right now, I think he's definitely just taking the pictures. And considering the lack of light in the area, he's probably taking it with flash.
Okay. Thank you.
And that's the death knell for this entire team. I am sorry, my friends. You're about to die.
If I may add a sinister element to that, I'm just imagining, because of genre, that it has the Texas Chainsaw Massacre like camera lens shot.
Strobe lighty.
Yeah, the strobe lighty like sound that's really famous. If you go look it up, the sound is.
Thank you for that additional ambiance.
I feel it's appropriate. We are in a millennia's old cave going down a spiraling staircase towards caustic material with bipedal creatures that are bigger and probably stronger than us. She is losing her shit.
But very old.
I've met enough older people who could kick my ass to not put much stock in that thought.
This is true.
But okay, so the flash is a little disorienting for all of you because it is bright in the darkness until you get used to it. But it doesn't. You still don't see anything coming at you.
Yeah.
Or anything.
Yeah, and actually, I would imagine that after he's so excited that he's looking around, but as he's looking around, he's kind of verifying. I would imagine as a scientist, he would actually verify the pictures came out all right and just make sure that it's not like overexposed or anything like that. Just make sure he's documented it correctly, actually.
Okay.
So.
Okay. So you're looking at it, and you're seeing the footprints in the flash. There's one where like Alice's foot is in the picture. Or things like that, and on one of the ones near the end, you notice just kind of like in the very bottom, or no, very top corner, because that would be off, is just like the smudge of something light.
Strange.
Sarah screwing with KP's photos, a theme in both of our games.
I'm going to say Arvind is my ancestor. Not ancestor, but like my great-grandfather or something at this point.
Beautiful.
Continuity.
Continuity. But yeah, so the picture still has, like, it's got the footprints in it. You do solidly have the photos of those. It's just something in, like, the very edge of the corner of the photo. Could be dust, could be somebody's hand flying through it, you're not quite sure, is just like kind of like, again, off into what would be darkness or air is just the smudge of something light and indeterminate.
Pratik's not going to take too much stock in that, especially considering that it's not in any other picture. He's just going to assume that it's some form of dust that got picked up, or just
Flashlight, something.
Yeah, he's not really
flashlight. Yeah. Okay. Cool.
I mean, he's gonna maybe like look at it for a second. He's like, huh, I wonder. He kind of just like checks his lens to make sure there's no dust or anything on it. Kind of just make sure it's wiped off. Everything looks good. Yeah, he's just gonna continue from there.
Okay. Cool.
I'm gonna start heading down the staircase more and more.
Yep.
All right. So, as you reach down, the glowing things, it's definitely, you saw it from the glowing bioluminescence earlier. And it's also the electrical work. So it's a combination of the two together that make that green kind of shifting glow. You do reach the bottom of the staircase. There's another door. This one's kind of sagging off its hinges a little bit. That's going to require a little bit of more force than the original one to get through. But you have reached the end of the staircase. Of important note, the chasm still goes below you.
Joy.
This goes, like, the door goes into, like, the other side of the cliff. You have the spiral staircase was spiraling and also going across the chasm. So you've made it to the other side as it was spiraling, but the ravine still continues below you. So you're like heading into the wall, essentially. So, and what do you all decide to do?
So, this entire time, Pratik is like just observing everything around him as best as he can. Main thing he's curious about is why some place like this has no real other signs of, civilization, like arts or tables or chairs or furniture of any sort, or like pots and pans or anything to indicate that people actually like lived here. Up till now, all he's seen is just tunnel. So he's trying to determine the functionality of this place, considering like if it was a religious place, they would have religious iconography. Thank you. Iconography. Or some form of artwork of something relevant. So there doesn't seem to be any sort of indication like that. Signs of any sorts, or writing even.
No, what you've seen so far indicates to you as an archaeologist that you're kind of just in the entranceway. You haven't made it into any structures yet. You haven't made it into anything that is reasonably considered a home or a building. So you've gone through an entrance tunnel, and then there was the bridge and the staircase in. The structures that you saw were on now the side that you're on. So beyond this door, you might see something like that, but everything you've seen so far has indicated that you are in the entrance area to something. You're not actually into the, areas in which these creatures lived, prayed, worked, slept, whatever.
Gotcha.
Ingrid will again open. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Pratik.
No, I'm just sitting down. Nothing much.
Okay. London, what's your impression of this so far?
She's no longer as skeptical as she was feeling earlier, because now we've come across footprints and indicated that there actually have been creatures going in and out of here, not just some strange structural things that are just like, it's actually like some proof that there really is something that wasn't human, that this is not someone else got here from, some other place or anything. This is actually alien life forms. So she's like kind of coming around to stop feeling like as skeptical and judgmental, and more feeling like, I don't know, excited and a little bit honestly scared, just because this is like so uncertain. Like excited, but there's a bit of fear in it.
Got it. Alice, did you have something before Ingrid body slams the door?
I was actually going to take after Ingrid's rock chucking because as I think it's now my turn to be the one to throw the rock and just take something, just try and see, throwing it in front of the door just to see if anything reacts near it first.
There's just a pff of dust as it lands.
Okay. One more at the door.
I don't know what sounds rock. It makes the sound that rock makes when it hits metal. Bonk, and this one does echo down the chasm a little bit for you, unlike the other one that just went. And it bounces, hits the staircase, and just kind of like ricochets a little bit.
Do we keep going down more, or do we want to go through
You
here?
can't go down from
We
Oh,
go
we
through the
can't go
door.
down.
Staircase ends.
Yeah.
Okay.
Does the door have the same structural elements and the same doorknob?
Mhm.
Okay.
Yep.
I will turn the handle.
This door is a little bit more stuck, so I'm gonna need you to, whoever wants to do this, can go ahead and make a risk roll to open this, because you're on a staircase with no railings trying to wrench open an alien door.
Let the chaos commence. I shall do it.
So I'm gonna offer you a devil's bargain here, so that you could add another light die if you wanted to. You don't have to take this, and anybody else can suggest other ones as well. So if you would like to add another dark die to this, I will say light die. You would like to add another light die to this roll, you can. What will happen if you do is that the door will wrench off and clatter against the staircase and then fall down, making a significant amount of noise.
I mean, I think she. This is less from a player standpoint wanting chaos, as is Ulfric's tradition, and this is more of a. I think Alice is just kind of scared, so I think she wouldn't be paying attention. She's trying to be careful, but she's also like, I just want to keep going forward and doing something, and wouldn't realize. So I will take that bargain.
Okay, so you can add another light. So you would roll 2 light die for that. Yep.
That is a 4.
Excellent. So that happens. You wrench the door off. You have a little bit more force behind that pull than you expected. So you kind of take a stumble backward, and the door goes flying and makes this, in the absolute stillness of this giant cavern, makes a cacophony of noise. It's so loud in the silence that it almost hurts your ears, and it clatters against the staircase and then against the wall and just keeps bouncing down, and you hear it hit the bottom and it just echoes forever down this in the silence, just continuing to echo for a really long time. Making a lot of incredible amount of noise, more than you've made so far.
Did I forget to mention, everyone, I was in a Miss Strong Arms America contest when I was younger?
Younger, you should try it now. You'd be in first place. I'm not sure. I'm not saying you hadn't then, but I'm just saying you still got it.
Oh dear, that was very loud. Oh dear.
I mean, it's not like we're in a place that has, a bunch of people, and it's not like we're bursting through someone's home. Well, I guess.
Well, we may be, but it is
Back
unlikely
sometime.
they are home. Ingrid
True.
is going to.
They know you're here now.
Yeah, Pratik's gonna continue and follow along.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Now, even more nervous and wanting to get out of the immediate area, London is actually going to not be the last person through the door this time.
Like slides in through in front of somebody else.
Slither.
All right, so you make it inside, into another room that looks. This one has some very oddly shaped furniture in it that is not easily going to fit a human. There's another tall. There's a hallway that leads out of this room, kind of into where you would imagine the structures that you saw are. And you see again some of that like glowing green on the walls, just kind of pulsing with light. And that's where we're going to go ahead and take a break for right now. So we will come back with scene number 3 in this odd room with a hallway and some lights and where the door has finally stopped echoing as it has fallen. So we will be back in about 10 minutes for more of this, and we will see you in a queue. And we're back. Welcome back to Project Galileo, a game of Trophy Dark, in which these four lovely people are playing extremely sciencey scientists who like to throw rocks at things and have made some conclusions about the creatures that may have lived here. And so we are starting back up with you all having walked into this room with some furniture that is, again, proportional to the same kind of door height and width of creature that you sort of determined to be, and then there is a hallway leading off. There is the only lights in here are your flashlights and, again, that faint green glow from a couple of panels in the wall.
Mm-hmm.
And then you see it also coming from the hallway.
Is there like a difference in the blinking pattern on these panels from upstairs? Where upstairs it seemed kind of off and broken.
This seems more on.
Okay.
What kind of furniture is it?
It's a clearly it you get the sense that it's a table and chairs. That's the closest analog that you would have to it.
Okay. Does it indicate that they sit upright?
Mm-hmm.
Like further evidence of bipedal forms?
Yep.
Okay.
Pretty much confirmation of that.
Okay.
Nice.
Is there any kind of decorative element?
Ooh.
Not that you can see in here. This seems to be a fairly plain space.
Okay, so this is very utilitarian.
Mm-hmm. This is extremely utilitarian. It kind of matches the rest of the aesthetic that you've seen thus far.
Okay.
Pratik is going to go and get closer and try to investigate once again, like the material that it's possibly made of. Is it wood or some form of like organic material or
It is
metal?
Not wood. It is some sort of metal. Not one that you're familiar with, but it has properties. Like it's reflective and it feels metally. But you're not quite sure what type of metal it is.
Oh. At least this indicates that they're advanced enough that they can, well, I mean, I'm sure, of course, the electricity and the electrical panels already indicate that, but they definitely were more working with metals versus wood or more organic things, which is strange. You'd think that, sorry, go ahead. I was going to say, Pratik's just going to say, we have not come across any other organic material of any sort, just rock, and now our first metal. So I'm just curious, what did they subsist on? What did they have? We didn't quite catch any other form of rooms. I mean, like, just think about our buildings. There's every couple of hundreds of feet, there's some room for like a loo or toilet at least. So it doesn't seem there doesn't seem to be a lot of facilities for them for that.
At this point, we have just walked down the boulevard. We have come to the first building.
True, but this, I'm just curious why it just seems like there's no other options like that. I mean, if it was some form of a residency or some form of a place where people are supposed to go back and forth infrequently, you'd have facilities for them. I mean, of course, this is just based on our logic. I'm not sure if this applies here, but just the logical thing would be to have various facilities for things.
We may just not have found them yet.
Given their height, it's likely that it would be at least twice as far for them as it would be for us.
Definitely a possibility. I'm just mentioning them as a thing to possibly look for. I'm just surprised that we haven't found any decorative pieces aside from this furniture here. I mean, that doesn't seem...
I wouldn't call this
weird
decorative.
To you guys? Right, but I'm saying definitely very utilitarian. I can't say words today.
Utilitarian.
Yes.
Can we
Thank
see...
you.
Okay, sorry, Sarah. This is doing the player derail thing. Can we tell how the chairs were formed? Like, do they appear to have been molded or extruded or joined via welding or... Yeah.
I would say London as being kind of the aesthetic person. London and Pratik together could probably figure some of that out. It looks like the metal had been, for lack of a better phrase, because I don't know the alien equivalent of this at the moment, but like it's multiple pieces of metal that have been welded together. If you look close enough, you see evidence of like soldering or welding the pieces together.
So hand done or machine done?
That's a little unclear, but it has been done in pieces that have then been put together. It's not all one structure.
Okay.
So perhaps no 3D printing yet.
Or at least these weren't 3D printed. Yeah. All the chairs, like chairs and the table, they all have a similar, very utilitarian aspect to them. So while these creatures may have some ability to do handcrafting, it doesn't look like these were done that way. They're kind of alien folding chairs in terms of use and build.
So I think one thing we can definitely determine is that they were humanoid-esque in nature, considering that they're bipedal, that they have chairs in a similar shape, so they would have to have sat down in a sense similar to us. And I tried to sit on one of them.
It's really, you need a boost. They're just not so much because it's like extremely taller than you, but because it's just an awkward, it's not built for humans, so you kind of need to like push yourself up into it. You feel it's a rather uncomfortable hard metal chair.
I just to test it out, I get on, then get back off, and then start taking pictures again.
Okay.
Alice is just walking forward through the room. She's just curious to see what else is in this place. It doesn't feel like we scratched more than the surface.
This room is specifically just the table and chairs. There's nothing else in here. It's a fairly small room. You couldn't really fit much more in it than just the table and chairs, given the assumed size of these creatures. But then there's that hallway that leads back to either another hallway or another room or something.
Not the one that we came in, a different one?
Different one. Yeah, so it's like you came in through that door, small room, hallway back out.
She'll let folks know she's just beginning to make her way into the next hallway just to see what's going on.
Okay. You stick your head out. It's a small, fairly unremarkable hallway, short, not enough to do much more than these aliens stride like 3 steps in there. That opens up into a larger room. There's no lights in here at all, not even the green glow. Your flashlights barely penetrate the gloom. But what you do see as you're kind of scanning your flashlight over it is that there are large monolithic metal objects in here. Several of them.
Pratik, come here.
I'm fascinating. What's the shape like? Are they like just like obelisk looking?
It's an obelisk style. There's 6 of them in here, and they're tall, obelisk shaped, kind of cylindrical in nature. Nearly 10 feet tall and kind of like 2 feet around. They are matte black, though they don't quite reflect. They reflect the light back, but kind of in like a diffused sort of way.
Interesting.
There's do you investigate those further?
Yes, I mean, one thing, I searched to see if there's any form of writing, language of any sort.
Ding, ding, ding. You find there's some sort of indentations in the metal, clearly indicated to communicate something of some sort. and next to each of those monoliths on the same size as the markings is like a pedestal with about 6 feet in height with a slightly reflective metallic sphere on top of it.
Metallic what?
Sphere. Globe.
Sphere. Okay, sphere.
Yeah.
Oh, like at the tip of it, like right on top, or like indention?
It's like a pedestal, like a cylindrical pedestal that like cuts off at the top, and then the sphere is sitting on top of it. It doesn't look unsteady, so there might be some sort of mechanism that holds it on that's just like at the base of it, but it's on top of that.
Interesting. I immediately, Pratik is beyond excited. He's finally found like proper form of like, to him, civilization and just language. I mean, that is, yes, yeah, he's definitely now like he's taking pictures. He's like observing it, like trying to trace and see if there's any patterns. I mean, based on that, like, how's like, obviously it's not something he could probably determine right now, but definitely at least he's trying to figure out like if there's any like grammatical things that he can work out, or like some kind of a thing in the form, like how is it forming words, like, you know, how when we have words, certain letters come together, then there's space. Is there ways like it can, or is it more like hieroglyphics or character based like Chinese?
Yeah. So it does. One thing you definitely glean from it is that the writing is vertical, not horizontal. Straight up and down, just based on the fact that there's like just vertical lines of writing rather than horizontal. Like you're able to kind of like pick out words and things like that. The glyphs in there, it's without any context whatsoever. It's a little hard to tell whether they're letters or hieroglyphs or something similar in terms of a like an icon language. But it does seem to be, again, like there is some sort of writing, maybe a label, maybe a description, but it's actually like in the metal. It's not, you know, on top of it. It's been
indented,
carved, dented in. Yeah.
Are there any signs of like seams or hinges on any of the pillars?
Yes, there are. Looks like they would like open like kind of halfway, so you'd have like 2 half moons.
Linguistics is London's background. Is there anything additional that she can glean from it?
So as you're looking at this specifically, this is some sort of label, rather than a any kind of other like story or paragraph. These lines of language are put together in a way that indicates labeling.
So it's like caution hot as opposed to giving us some kind of poem or something.
Correct. Yeah.
That's awesome.
I have noticed that these tall columns are of a size that perhaps one of the creatures could fit inside. It might not be comfortable, but given the size of furniture and the shiny globes, perhaps they would be at hand level for such creatures.
Is there, how were they, did you say these different monoliths were positioned? Is it like in a pattern, like in a circle? Are they're all in a circle? And then you said in the center is where that orb is?
There's one of those orbs next to each one. So there's 6 monoliths, 6 of those orbs, and then just kind of like an indent, like a step down kind of area in the middle. Like there's nothing in it. It's just kind of like those are more up, like raised up a little bit, and then through.
Interesting.
There were 6 indents on the first doorknob as well.
Indeed. So
there does seem to be a repetition of the number 6, doesn't there?
Alex, did you have something?
For whatever
reason. You
reason.
have a face.
Yeah, that was a face that I'm making. That's because I had a flashback to a Pixies song for some reason that had numerology in it. I was kind of curious if it were possible to make a roll invoking the ritual that I have.
Which ritual is that? The answer is yes. Just which one do you have?
It is, I dreamt this. No part of an event before it happens.
Okay, what are you trying to foresee here?
What happens if you directly interact with the sphere? Like, because
Okay.
the way I'm thinking about this narratively for her is that part of what, whenever she has to go out onto missions, she gets flustered very quickly, as is apparent by her being scared shitless the entire time. So she has like a sort of aerosol dispersal device built into her particular EVA suit that lets her like it's like mini aromatherapy, I'm imagining,
Okay, cool.
for her internal suit, that when she sprays it, I'm imagining there's like a moment where she's just some, not like hallucinating, but like there's a sense of like something that she doesn't
Sure.
understand overtaking her. So I'm kind of
Yeah,
imagining that.
absolutely. You would go ahead and make a roll. You would have one light die and one dark die for the ritual.
The dark die is a 3, and the light die is a 5, so it is a success. And
It is a
yes, with the complication.
success with a complication. However, that also counts as a ruin roll because wait, hang on.
Yeah,
What was
if
your,
you
your
made a
dark die
risk
was a
roll which
3 and the
includes a
other one
dark
was a
die,
5? The dark die was a 3 and the light die was a 5?
yes.
Okay, sorry, then it doesn't count as that. I had that backward in my head. Okay,
Well,
cool. So it succeeds. So you are
Nice.
able to determine what happens if you interact with them. You get a sense of, just if you touch them, like they're gonna light up and connect with you in some how, not physically, but some sort of like mental connection. Um, but in the process of releasing your little aromatherapy thing, you notice that some of the corrosive material from earlier had actually gotten on your suit. You patch the hole, but you're running on about 50% of your oxygen now.
Oh, shoot.
You started off the mission with having enough oxygen for 24 hours, so functionally you're probably down to about like 10, maybe, depending on how long we've said you've been this. So not terrible,
but it's concerning compared to where
it's
everyone
concerning.
else is. Yeah. Okay. She does panic for a moment like that. It's like small scream. Then she'll just sort of say, I have a sense of what I think these things will do if we touch them.
What?
What will they do?
They will connect with us. There's I've seen this happen with some other fungal organisms where they will at times release spores and things of that sort that initially any creature that takes them in is perfectly fine, but over time slowly overtakes the organism and begins to exert control over its mental faculties. I do not think it will be, I do not know if it'll be that extreme, but my sense of this is, given the arrangement and just from what I understand, this may connect with one of us mentally should we choose to engage with them.
Connect mentally.
That is my sense of it.
That doesn't make a lot of sense.
So
We
they
dealing...
are psychedelic mushrooms?
One could posit that, and I think my sense of all this is that regardless if it makes sense or not, it is what is the case. I don't think I don't think it's really fair to opt to say that just because it doesn't make sense, therefore it doesn't mean it's not going to be the case, or that it isn't concerning nevertheless. I also can't deny my interest in examining them, despite knowing that. But
Well, forgive me if I don't believe in mind control via touching a sphere of glass, but you know more about the plant life and things like that than I do. So if there is some function to this potentially bioorganic material being similar to another plant life mechanism, then I guess you would know more about it than me, so maybe you should touch it.
It is metal. It's a similar metal to what the monoliths are made out of.
Okay. I said
Right.
glass, sorry.
Oh, inorganic material is what I was aiming for.
Okay.
Not necessarily that it's not. It is not a mushroom.
Gotcha.
It is not shroom. It is not shroom.
We
It
do
is
not
not
talk
true.
about the mushrooms.
They hear all. But it really depends, Pratik, Ingrid. I don't know if either of you have input as to whether or not we should interact with them, but we can keep going.
You do also see at the edge of the room what is, just based on the structure of it, it is some sort of elevator. Just like an open platform. Does have railing, safety first, at least in this instance. It's some sort of elevator that would rise up from here. It's kind of, the shaft itself disappears beyond the ceiling of the room, but that's the exit of the room essentially. Unless you wanted to go back the way you came.
I would like to touch a spear.
Okay. So Ingrid walks up and touches one of those spheres. Ingrid, I need you to make a ruin roll. So roll me one dark die.
One dark die. Oh gosh. 6?
Oh, you're fine. Then.
Okay.
Yeah, you needed to roll above your current ruin, which I think is still just one.
It's one,
from
yeah.
The ritual, yeah. So you are not fine because I can read instructions. This is a theme in all of my games that I run on SideQuest lately. I don't read the instructions ahead of time or they go out the window. So you are not fine.
Okay.
You take an additional ruin from that.
Cool.
So you're now up to 2. But what you is just your mind just kind of like something just kind of gets a little shifty and you feel suddenly you have these images in your head, these things that you suddenly know that you could not possibly know. You suddenly know the things like what stars smell like or what nebula tastes like. There's the songs of pulsars turned into lullabies inside your head. It's gorgeous, it's beautiful, and everything you see is just against this endless shifting landscape of red rock. And it's very, you can't possibly know any of these things, and yet you know them so instinctually. And then it's just gone as you pull back.
Oh.
Just like a dream, almost like a dream. There's just like a little small seed, like you know that you used to know these things. They're gone now.
It was very transcendent. It was when the old masters talk about the music of the spheres.
I think he's just looking very skeptical about all of this, and he's just like, considering someone who's kind of a little bit pompous and arrogant, he's just like, yeah, okay. Kind of situation.
What happened?
I heard space, and it was a glorious symphony.
Sorry, what?
I cannot explain. It is fading even as I try to say to you, but it was in scale of time that is... it boggles the mind.
Interesting.
I do not think I have been harmed.
Pratik's going to go, and he's going to go not to the same sphere. He's going to go to one of the other spheres nearby, and he's going to do the same thing.
All right, so I need a ruin roll from you as well. Go ahead and roll me a dark die.
Just the dark die?
Just the dark die.
Okay. I mean, they're all the same D6s, but but I split mine into a red and green, so the reds are my dark dice. So let's see.
All right.
That is a 2.
All right. You also take a ruin increase from this.
Okay.
Your current ruin is 1, right?
Yeah.
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 I mean, we
okay.
didn't get anything
Oh.
more than that. Yeah.
Well, you could have taken more.
If you had
rituals.
taken more rituals, you could have increased
Oh.
your starting ruin.
Oh,
but
right,
I think
right.
everybody's at 1.
Yeah, I think I only took 1 ritual.
Yeah, benefit
Okay,
of taking
so-
more is you get more stuff
More
for
stuff,
possible rolls,
But
and
your
Oh.
ruin starts higher. Yeah.
And you
so-
don't want to reach 6, right?
No, 6 means you're
You're
doom
gone.
and death. But you also take 1 ruin, and as you reach up and you touch this, suddenly you briefly, for as long as your hand is connected with this, you understand, even though it's not your specialty, my lights just turned off. You understand that happened at 10 candles too. It was really freaky, but you understand how to build an engine that can go faster than light.
Ooh.
And then as soon as you take your hand away, it fades like a dream. It's something you used to know.
These could be just ways to unlock the future of humanity. These creatures, or the civilization, my God, they are far more advanced than we thought.
I don't know whether to worry that the two of you are undergoing some kind of systematic shock.
No. I can't explain it.
It is
I
extraordinary.
was skeptical, but I'm not sure if it's what I saw was real, but I feel it deep within me that it was. It's like learning to ride a bicycle and not riding for a long time, and now not quite understanding the mechanisms and how it works. It's there, it's back in the mind, and if you maybe apply it, you feel that you should be able to go and do it. But for a brief moment, I felt that I knew how to unlock light speed travel.
How could touching something convey knowledge? That's absolutely beyond anything that we even conceive of.
Not quite so. I mean, there's quite a few organisms that when they come in contact with each other are able to communicate via just neural impulses.
But that implies neural impulses. This is inorganic material.
Just because we don't have the technology or the knowledge on how to do something like that does not necessarily mean it's not capable of doing something like that.
Why I'm calling it revolutionary if it's the case.
Oh,
Yes.
my apologies. I thought you were being skeptical about it like I was earlier.
Well, with both of you having that reaction, I'm prone to believe that there might be something to it.
Okay, at this point, Pratik, even though he really wants to stick around, he kind of looks at his watch again and goes, oxygen check. And then ask everybody basically kind of I feel like that's what people would do on missions like this, is constantly make sure that everybody's levels are correct.
Ingrid, were you trying to say something earlier? Just double checking. I thought I saw you saying something. Alice will pipe up and say, well, the good news is I still have air for a while. The bad news is I don't think I will be able to last on this expedition as long as the rest of you. I think the
Right.
materials that affected my suit.
You say we
Yeah.
track back. Then.
Should be careful. This is fascinating beyond
True.
any degree I've ever really had a chance to be involved with, to be honest.
I 100% agree, but we have another month. Yes, we are on our final expedition. We still have a month. This is still technically day 1. We need to establish back to Mother Base on,
Galileo.
yes, we need to get back to Earth about what we've discovered today.
So Teak is right. Besides, safety first. We can go back, make sure that you have a proper Evo suit, and this will all still be here. It's obviously been here for ages.
But wait, Alice, how much oxygen do you have left? Are you still leaking?
That is actually a very important question to answer. Has it been leaking?
You were leaking for a little bit. When you released that aromatherapy piece, you noticed the leak in your suit and patched it. You've lost some oxygen. You can also turn down your oxygen saturation to make it last longer. Which it's not going to cause any necessarily terrible side effects. It might make you a little lightheaded, but that's it. You can change that to make your oxygen lasts longer with everybody else, or you can keep it where it is.
Our approximation was like 8 to 10 hours left over, somewhere
10
around
hours.
there. Given how much we've been traveling and the having of it, so that's the amount that I'll say that I have left. So we could keep traveling, but
no,
our
You've
safety
only been traveling
margins
for a couple of hours.
Our safety margins are double the oxygen of the distance we expect to travel. We have another 2 hours before it becomes
critical.
the safety margin.
What happens if we get caught up somewhere and get stuck and it takes us longer than an hour to figure out how to get out?
That is why we have the safety margin. Then we head back when we get out.
That's up to you, Alice. It's your life on the line there. I wouldn't do it if I were me.
I think, how about this? Since Alice is the main one that's having this current predicament, perhaps one or two of us, or one of us, could escort Alice back to the ship, and whoever wishes to further, at least here, we have established a certain level of exploration or understanding of where we're at to this point. Perhaps not going further in, we can establish a base here or a base camp here, so that when we come back to explore, we can then progress from this point onwards without having to go all the way to the ship. And we can continue perhaps studying a little bit more, gaining some more information before we head back to the ship, so that way whatever we do convey is more of a holistic report.
That sounds like a good plan.
My vote is that I'm willing to travel for at most another hour or two, downwards more. Past that, I would rather not risk my life for this.
Fair.
And I would very much not like any of my materials back at the base to become ruined as a result of my inability to attend to them. I'm more worried about that than I am about my own well-being, to be frank.
So we go for 1 more hour.
At least.
Pratik comes up, smacks Alice on the back and goes, "Spoken like a true scientist. Onwards." And then Pratik just walks.
Under her breath, she just mutters, "Spoken like the brave woman I am not."
You sell yourself too short, Alice. And then he just like walks forward.
Full Scooby-Doo energy. The entire time.
And London's just shaking her head because you guys are all idiots.
Yep, exactly.
Oh,
Beautiful.
Tried to save your life. You just wait.
Do you want to be proven right? Is this the takeaway from that?
No, London will probably be the first person to die just because she's being careful.
Fortune braves. Was it the fortune?
Favors the bold.
Favors the bold. Yes.
Favors the bold.
Oh, my mind went to the Scream's rule of surviving horror movies.
Yep.
First rule: never say you'll be right back, because you won't.
Oh,
All right. So, anything else that you wanted to do in this room? Because again, the only exits are the hallway you came in from, back to the room with the chair and the table, or there's an elevator ahead that'll take you up. So,
I want to examine the structural integrity and potential working status of the lift.
okay. Yeah. What does it look like to you? You don't even have to roll for it, but you can decide what it looks like, whether it's, you know.
I'm
what
asking,
your
does it
analysis of-
work
It looks-
from what I'm seeing?
Mm-hmm. Yep. You see there's some faint lights from it. Again, kind of that green glow that would indicate that it's powered.
Is it over solid ground, or is there currently empty ground beneath it?
The elevator, it's a platform that is currently resting on solid ground.
Okay, so it doesn't go any
that-
further down, just up.
Correct. It does not go any further down. You are on the bottom floor of this elevator. It just goes up.
Okay, so she's over there studying it for a few minutes, and comes back and looks at the others. It looks like this lift would actually work, and it doesn't appear to be in any state of disarray, so I would trust it to hold our weight.
I have
True.
perhaps one further idea for this room. How far apart are the 6-foot tall pedestals with the balls on them, like from each other?
They're like right in front of the monolith. So the monoliths are in a circle that is 20 feet wide. Sure, 20
Okay.
feet's a good number. 20 feet meters wide. They're in a circle, and the pedestals with the spheres on them are in front of each one.
Perhaps there are only 4 of us, but perhaps if 2 of us touch 2 at once, then the other 2 people could also touch the spheres, and we could find out if there is a different reaction when all of them are activated.
That is a theory.
How many of them are there again?
6.
6.
They're
don't
close
know.
enough that you could stretch and you could touch too if you really worked at it.
I really don't know if I want to touch that.
Fine, then we will take the elevator.
You only need 3
Oh.
people to touch all 6.
Pratik says, let's do it.
Yes?
Let's do it. You and me.
Alice?
Fist bump.
Well, at least if I die, this will be.
For science! And then walks forward.
For science.
I really don't want to be stuck here alone.
London understands what fate awaits her. I will touch 2 at the same time in the same queue as the other 2.
Yay!
All right.
Turns out that it's perfectly safe to touch 1, but touching 2 kills you instantly.
Well, I do need the 3 of you who are touching thing. I need another ruin roll from the 3 of you.
Okay.
Okay.
Oh, that's another 6. I like this dice.
That
Okay.
is.
That is a
definitely-
6!
That is a 5, so that's definitely ruin
Woo!
goes to 2.
Okay, you don't want a 6 because that increases
Oh.
your ruin. You wanted to roll
Oh.
under.
Oh.
That's fine. So you each
You want to roll a
get an
1.
increase in- Yeah, you want to roll a 1.
Oh.
It's fine. You have 6.
Well, then I'm
Ruin.
putting
Yeah.
that dice in jail.
So I think that brings each of you up to 2.
I'm up at
Don't we
3.
started? Okay.
3.
Wouldn't it be
I'm
3? Because,
sorry.
yeah.
I think-
Okay, halfway
Yeah.
there.
3. Alice, you might be at 2, right? 'Cause
Yeah.
You didn't touch. Okay. Yeah. So the 3 of you touch each of these spheres, and you each get a flash of images. It's like 6, not 6, 2, because you're just touching 2, like 2 images layered on top of each other. You get the sense of being able to see the very beginnings of the universe. Just the literal Big Bang. You're able to see
Ooh.
that happen in this. You understand how that happened, what made it happen, what happened immediately afterward, and just the creations of the universe. And again, as you take your hands away from it, it starts to fade.
I appreciate
Yeah.
chat adding in the thought. No one rides a roller coaster to hop out the
Yes.
top of the big hill. I'm terrified of roller coasters, so I would. I don't like heights.
Same.
Nothing else specific happens. That you all 3 get that same image, but nothing else happens otherwise when you all activate that. And London, when you see them do this, and you're kind of muttering like, "You're all idiots! You're all idiots," as they do this, you just kind of see like in the floor, there's like a circle of some sort connecting all three of them that just briefly flashes green.
Ooh, oh. Oh man.
So, when you guys touched those, something lit up on the floor.
Yes?
What do you mean?
I mean, there was a light that on the floor, something
In the
lit
center?
up for a moment. She tries to indicate where.
And as you look at that, you see that there's some writing, again, similar to what was on the monoliths, just like stamped into the floor, kind of connecting all three.
Caution, hot.
Yeah. It's a little harder to tell in this instance because it's not on something. Possibly less of a caution hot and more of a like a success message of some sort. Like hey, all three have been activated at the same time. Like just something, you have done something specific.
It seems to indicate that something has been successful. Like, it indicates something positive, as in something successfully happened. At least that's the best I can make out of it.
Interesting. But what did we succeed at?
You didn't die, so there's that.
We have gained insight, even though it faded. Perhaps
The question becomes, how long can we hold it? And the Lord, does it longer that we hold it mean that we retain it or get to retain it longer?
What did you see this time?
The beginning of the universe.
the moment of singularity itself.
So you saw the same thing. Alice, what about you?
Alice is just sort of keeping quiet, and the player is having a flashback to Dead Space because of the lift, and the character Alice is going back to the entrance that we went into to get into here. I'm wondering, we made a lot of noise earlier. Is there anything over there by any chance? Do I notice
Over
anything
where?
coming from the entryway we came into this room?
No. But what you hear is an ungodly scraping of metal.
Oh.
Oh.
It wasn't instant with you touching the spheres, but it's starting to scrape as if something metallic is beginning to move. It's not the elevator.
And is it around us where the spheres are, or coming from where I'm looking towards?
Is one of the pillars opening?
It's not the pillars opening, but it's coming from the wall. And you start to see pieces of metal move and extract themselves as a giant metallic creature with a glowing green reactor eye, and its chest starts to wake up from its position in the wall.
That doesn't...
Back away, back away, back away, back away.
It is between you and the hallway you came from.
Elevator.
It's not between you and the elevator.
This is
Elevator.
extraordinary. Okay, elevator.
No. I say we get on it and we observe. We don't know what it is. It could possibly be a security measure of some sort. We've seen them deploy other methods similar, so better to be safe than sorry.
This is okay. I would just like to point out that shock they were broken.
Every motion that it makes has this, again, metal on metal shriek as it wakes up from thousands of years of disuse, and pushes near through rust as it walks out of the wall. It is taller than the creatures that you've anticipated. And again, it is a bright green glowing something in the inside of its chest. And it is beginning to walk toward you.
Okay. Hello. We are. I'm not even sure if they can understand us. We mean no harm. Hello. Any reaction?
None whatsoever. It continues walking toward you. It's not moving super fast at the moment, but it is big, it is bulky, its movements there is mass and weight behind this as it stalks across the room toward you.
I don't think we're going to be able to communicate.
No.
We should move.
I'm assuming that there at this point have been some method, because even now I believe there's methods of trying to get in contact with alien life forms. I remember that, like, even scientists now, like, they said if they ever were to meet alien life, they would try to find a universal method to communicate. And I'm assuming at this point there's a way to use that. I don't know what it is, but I remember reading about it.
I don't know what it is either, but we can say it's there. Yeah, like I think they do an Independence Day where they like flash lights at the giant ship.
Yeah.
We could do a combination of that and Contact, where it's flashing prime numbers sequences.
Right.
Yes.
This thing is this room is large. It's larger than the one you came from. It's maybe wow, I should stop trying to describe things in size because I don't know how distance works. But it's a very large room. This thing probably has another like 20 to 30 feet before it gets to you, but it shows no signs of stopping, and actually it's getting faster as it's beginning to move and kind of loosen up the joints.
Okay, time to go. Start. Who knows how to start this thing?
Well, I already examined it, so can I tell?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yep. There's a very clear control mechanism.
Okay. I would activate the control mechanism.
Okay.
Yeah, you guys are kind of having to pull Ingrid into the lift with you as she's looking at this marvelous thing that is working after millennia of neglect, but she will not resist. She will come.
Yeah, just to let you know, Pratik has been taking photos this entire time.
Okay, perfect. Just as the thing breaks into a run, you all manage to get on the elevator. Ingrid, can I have a risk roll from you as you're like kind of dragging a little bit? You can. So I'm gonna say, number one, you could add a dark die to this roll if you were willing to risk life and limb to get an extra look at this. Mm-hmm. And number two, I would say you could take a devil's bargain to add another light die. Mm-hmm. But in exchange for that, and again, anybody can throw out an option for this. It doesn't have to just be the GM. But in exchange for that, what would happen is that you would, in the process of getting onto the elevator, you slip and twist your ankle.
Another devil's bargain would be you drop something important.
That could be it as well. Yep. And you can choose to take or reject any of these. Alice, do you have something?
I have the thought of it mentions one of the potential devil's bargain ideas is you betray someone. I think another way you could put that is your actions cause someone else to get hurt.
Yeah, so we could say that your actions as you are doing this, whoever is pulling you suffers some sort of physical harm from that as you get pulled up.
I volunteer for that one.
Volunteers tribute.
I'm trying to figure out if my ritual would work. Bypass it.
What is your ritual?
Bypass it. Change the function of a device.
Ooh.
What would you want to be changing about what?
I would want this thing to essentially become like Cortana in Mass Effect. Or Ava.
What?
Wait, no, Cortana is not Mass Effect.
EDI.
Cortana is Halo.
EDI.
Halo.
Yes, EDI is Mass Effect.
Okay. Okay. Sure.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Oh no. I don't like the way she said that.
Yeah.
I don't see why not. Go ahead and make me a ruin roll. for
A
that.
ruin roll for that. Okay.
Uh-huh.
So that was a 1 on the dark die.
Okay.
That's
So
below.
the good news is
You don't
it
die.
doesn't increase. The bad news is that you fail and things get worse.
Okay.
Oh,
So, good news, bad news situation. You, as you try to figure out how to bypass this, the thing, because you're in such close proximity to it, it takes a big swipe at you and you fall into one of those spheres, touching it to catch yourself. Hang on, where'd my note go? And you feel, as you fall into it and try to catch onto it to hold your balance, you start to feel the beginnings of a intense, painful headache. Nearly migraine levels begin in the base of your skull, and you start to, as you're thinking, I gotta get up, I gotta get to the elevator. Elevator is not the word that comes to mind. It's a different word in a language you've never heard before. But you know it's supposed to be where elevator is in that sentence.
Oh. Do I know the word in that other language for stop, please?
No,
Okay.
not at the moment. The giant robot is like now standing like over you.
Oh my
Like,
god.
It has found a target.
I chuck a
Where do you
rock.
What are you trying to do with the rock?
I am trying to
What's your
distract.
intent with it?
I am trying to distract this giant thing from getting anywhere closer to Ingrid.
Okay. That's a risky move, so I'm gonna have you make a risk roll for it.
Okay.
I'm also gonna say you can do a devil's bargain to get an extra die, but what will happen is instead of it's gonna leave Ingrid alone, but it's gonna change its focus to you.
I feel like we could all just play tag with this thing at this point. Okay. I'm gonna roll just a risk roll. I'm not gonna.
Okay, just the one. Okay.
Yeah. Woo! Wait, is this the one that needs to be high or low?
This is the one that needs to be high.
Okay. Oh god, come on. 4?
Yeah,
Okay.
it suggests the complications.
So you succeed with the complication. So where do you hit this thing with a rock?
At the back of its head.
Okay.
Or if it has a head, is it a humanoid in shape?
It has a top.
Okay. It's a bucket.
It has a head area. Yeah, it's an upside down.
It's literally a
bucket.
metal bucket. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah, you grab the rock and you throw it, and it clangs and hits off of that, and this thing swivels and it turns and it focuses entirely on you and the elevator. And Ingrid is free. Ingrid is no longer the focus of its ire, but it is running straight for you now.
I'm gonna yell at Ingrid. I'm gonna tell him run to the exit, and then I'm gonna hit the elevator button. Or no, I can't hit the button.
You can hit the button. You know, like London pointed
Do I
out
know?
the button.
Wait,
It's a really clear control mechanism.
It's a big red
London
button.
Yes.
Yes.
Kind of big green button. All right, London, you've got something. Then take Alex.
I want to use my ritual,
Okay.
improbable intuition, to know something I couldn't possibly know. And basically, based on the language that I have seen so far, limited though it is, know the word to command it to stop.
Ooh.
Okay.
There we go.
ahead
Much
and
better
make
plan
a
than what
roll.
I had.
I also had a very terrible, not so good, bad day idea.
Okay. see what London's roll is.
What do I roll?
You're gonna roll 1 dark die because you're rolling a ruin roll for your ritual.
Okay, so want this to be low or high?
You want this to be low.
Okay, come on, be nice to me. You roll low all the time. You can do this. 2.
Okay, what's your current ruin?
My current ruin is 1.
Okay, so you still take 1 ruin from that, and it was a 2.
Yeah.
So it didn't work. You shout at it in the language you've picked enough up to get. You would probably understand parts of this language, and you're just shouting words at it. None of them are stop. None of them are the kill switch.
Unfortunately, I'm shouting caution hot.
Yeah, that's exactly what you're shouting. You're shouting caution hot at it.
Well,
All right, Alice, what do you have?
so I only used 1 slot for my backpack earlier.
Correct.
I have an additional specimen case that I keep on me at all times of what I'm going to describe here as a very virulent strain of fungi that has been known to break through metallic matter. Obviously, there's a reason why it's kept with me in a safe and contained area on a spaceship, because if it eats through it, it's a bad thing.
Yes.
So I am going to try and pull out, it's basically another one of these boxes. This one is 777 instead of 666.
Super secure passwords.
Yeah. Well, the devil is 6, God is 7. That's how this works.
Yep.
I'm going to just take it out and just going to run up and try and see if I can shove the material into its core. Just to see if it'll eat through the machine and then run back to the elevator.
Okay. I will say you can make a risk roll for this, and you can add. Sure, you can add a die for it being biologist oriented, but you're also going to add a dark die to that because of the fact that you are risking. You're getting close enough to this that it's going to be able to hit you. So that's technically a ruin roll and part of it as well.
Okay, so it's 1 black die, 2 light die for the whole thing.
And if anybody has a devil's bargain they want to offer Alice, you can absolutely do that.
I'm all takers. This is a terrible, terrible, terrible idea.
It further damages your suit.
And it puts me at like safety margin levels of like, oxygen left.
Sure. Mm-hmm. I'd work with that.
Okay, so that I'll take it. That's 3 dice and a dark die. This is where I scream.
I am so nervous right now.
Yep.
Okay, so of the light die, I have a 1, a 4, and a 4.
Okay.
So that's a success. It works. However, the dark die is a 4, which is higher than my current ruin. So that means I'm gonna get hurt.
Yeah, you are. So this works. So you shove this thing into it, like kind of dodge its things. You're not trying to like fight it. You're just trying to shove this virulent strain of something into its reactor core. It works. In the process of this happening, your suit catches on a rough edge of metal, cutting another hole in it, and you can see some of the oxygen start to fly out of it as a result of that devil's bargain. And where's my thing? I have a thing.
No, just pull out another thing. This is worse than I could have ever thought.
And there begins to be a ringing in your ears.
Just ringing in my
But the
ears.
thing just ringing right now. It's just slight ringing in your ears. But the robot security system thing just kind of like takes a stumble backward as metal-eating mushrooms or whatever that is takes over and deactivates it.
Yeah, I'm imagining for anyone who ever read, what was it, Series of Unfortunate Events in the Grim Grotto, the like weird mycelium, like the mycelium, the undergrowth, just spreading all over its whole body, and it just sort of doing one of those like slow freeze kind of things, like when like a figure's slowly frozen, where it's just moving still fast, and then it just like kind of like a calcified, like fungi. It's just like gone pure white. Except this one, because it's Mars, it's like pure red.
Yeah, I like it. It's a really weird contrast against the green light that was coming out of its chest as the light just kind of fades out as it.
Oh my god.
Interestingly, Alice, the ringing in your ears starts to die off a little bit. It's still there, but it gets noticeably quieter when the light goes out.
For the
Ship.
record,
Mm.
I want my name to be first on the published research on this. I get first credit.
I'm gonna go walk up to her, and first thing is, I'm assuming we have some form of tape that's helping to patch up these.
Yeah, you've got a patch kit. Yeah.
Yeah. So as I'm patching her up, I'm gonna say, my friend, your name is going to be on the first bold and underlined.
Do I get an italicized name too? Can I choose the-
Italices doesn't mean that.
I
I,
know
don't
it
think
is.
that's going to emphasize.
Can I choose
if
the
you want.
font?
Is she
Can I-
still leaking oxygen?
No, I'm helping her. I'm helping her.
Okay.
patch.
He's
I'm helping you.
He's helping patch me up while
Yeah.
I'm panicking.
Yeah, I'm trying to like basically calm her down while we're doing this, so that she
Okay.
doesn't go into panic mode.
Oh, jeez, yeah. Oh, that's a good point. Chat point out to my
Yeah.
tinnitus. Oh boy.
So, as this is happening, kind of in the silence of the metal thing dying, and the chaos of patching up Alice, London and Ingrid, you hear just the sound of a small rock falling behind you.
Turn.
Yep.
You turn, and there's just this blur of just like this fast blur of white that just then vanishes out of your vision and is just gone.
Did anyone else see that flash?
What? No, I
I did, yes.
What flash?
It was
And I'm still patching up.
Something
Alice.
white.
behind us.
In the lift? Or,
It was kind of on the wall.
okay, on the wall.
Worse.
So perhaps there is green electricity and white electricity?
No, something moved.
All right, I'm gonna call it. I say we have investigated far enough for the day. Alice is definitely at, if not past the safe zone. We need to head back to the ship, recollect, re-equip, because clearly we're not properly equipped for this, and let base know what has happened so far. I also have a lot of data, and as I'm saying this, as particularly saying this, he's walking towards the to the exit that they came from.
I would. Ingrid looks like she's going to argue, but looks at Alice, and even in her suit, you can kind of see her shoulders fall a little bit, and she just nods and starts to follow.
We have to. This is necessary at this point.
I kind of imagine throughout some of that, while Pratik's been helping after finish patching her up, she's like she obviously like snapping isn't going to do anything, but it's like a reflex for her, and she's trying to see if the ringing, like just by reflex out of stress habit, if the ringing's calming down.
You notice that it calmed down when the light went out. It's still there, and it's now at a steady level.
Do any of us notice this?
You don't hear anything. And actually, Pratik, as you are helping patch Alice up and your flashlight just kind of like moves a little bit, Alice, you notice that like as the light kind of falls on you and like your vision gets brighter, the ringing also increases.
Ow, 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 ow.
Alice?
Yeah.
Are you okay?
The light. It's a lot.
Okay. I feel you are potentially at some form of shock or something. Are you okay? What is happening?
I am hearing a constant ringing. It increased. It went. You said it went away when the light was present, or it increased?
Other way around. When
So
the light is
what-
there, the ringing is louder.
Okay. When there's light present, it gets worse, which suggests that this is likely going to be a problem for me when I get back. Thankfully, I do have very particular temperature and light controlled areas in my lab, which I will probably be staying at for the rest of this month because this is terrible. This is bad. And
Okay, calm down. We don't know if these effects are permanent. They could just be temporary based on whatever that robot thing did. And once we gain proximity from it, or not proximity, once we gain, get away from. Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, you're fine. It's your headphones is doing the thing where it just occasionally just gets weird. But you're fine. I can hear you.
I'm sorry.
anyways,
And I mean, he's at this point ready to move back. His like very self-preserving nature is coming through at this point, and he's like, "Yep, we're going." And at this, he's not really like he's encouraging everybody, but he's not like waiting around for everybody to follow.
Ingrid is following. Yeah.
Alice, do you need a hand?
that would be much appreciated.
She goes over and, puts your arm up around her shoulder and like helps you.
Yeah, she's probably actually now shaking. Before it was just general anxiety, mental shaking. Now it's actual shaking because in her head she's like, well, on the plus side, at least all the anxiety has something to go along with it. And she's referring to the ringing she's hearing now. It's like, well, I have a friend to go along with it.
No.
She is anxious bean. She is most anxious bean right now.
Oh. All right. So yeah,
Right.
we basically all
Right,
start
heading
heading
back
back. Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Okay.
Return to
All right.
base.
Return to base. Okay. So you walk past the giant pile of collapsed robot, and back through the room that had the table and chairs, and back out to the staircase that leads you spiraling back up.
Mm-hmm.
I am gonna ask London to make me a risk roll as you are helping Alice up these stairs to see how well that happens.
What's
So
what
you're
number?
just gonna roll one light die.
Okay.
You can add a dark die, or sorry, you can add a dark die if you are willing to risk life and limb to help your friend. And if anybody's got a devil's bargain to get London another light die, they can offer it. Keeping in mind that the devil's bargain happens whether the roll succeeds or not.
No one has an idea?
Oh, I have
The-
ideas. I just,
Yeah.
I'm torn between my desire for interesting drama and also I like my anxious bean and I want her to not be alone.
I like your anxious being.
I also like your anxious being, and the idea I have is very mean to her.
No, my thought was that like Alice tries to get me up and not Alice tries to get me up, but London tries to get Alice up, and the process like she doesn't get hurt, but she gets separated, or has to take like the other way around.
My thought was
Go ahead.
London can help Alice up the stairs, but anytime they come closer to the green light, the only solution for Alice to like not be crippled is to essentially be blinded by putting down like a dark shield or something.
Oh, so I have to be entirely in the dark.
So
I hate it, and I also actually love you, Ulfric. So
I would also say that you could also do this, but in the process of helping, something about the way that you are helping Alice has, whether she fell on it or something or pulled it, something has gone slightly screwy with your comms, specifically London's, so that hearing other people is going to get a little bit strange. Not impossible, but odd.
I'm just gonna roll one die.
Okay. Totally valid.
The assistance you offer gets Alice out of the danger zone for her oxygen, but it puts you both at the red line. So you're not Alice is no longer in danger of hypoxia to get back, but neither of you have a safety reserve.
Suit change. Yeah.
I mean, if London just wants to roll the one die, she can avoid all of our
avoid
terrible
all
ideas.
Okay, I'm gonna roll the one die. Let's just.
Okay. Fair.
Here goes. Okay, I got a 6.
Oh
yes. Right.
So it succeeds.
So what does this look like as you are helping Alice successfully up the stairs?
Getting to the stairs, we're not gonna walk abreast. I actually just get her to basically hold on to my back, and I hold her. And
I just imagine her actually lifting her up and carrying her like this,
sweep you into my arms and carry you up the stairs
really like newly married couple.
Bridal carry
all the way up.
I mean, Mars has only got 1/3 Earth's gravity.
Hey.
This is a good point. So sure, bridal carry up the stairs.
So we started at fearing existential dread, and we ended at queer shenanigans. This sounds
queer shenanigans.
This sounds about right for Sarah's
games. Have you seen anything on this channel?
Yeah.
I was about to say that was a you-specific thing, but then I realized no, that's just this channel.
Yeah.
I mean, it's me too, but it's definitely this channel.
It's just what happens.
Yes.
All right.
Welcome to the queer shenanigans.
Again.
Okay, so
I now need art of this.
Yeah, just carrying you up the stairs. So as you are walking up the stairs, it's taking you a little bit longer because you are, helping and carrying another person up the stairs. You do see, as you are walking up, the lights from the buildings that were back there getting brighter. There's lights coming on inside the buildings as well. At this point, at about halfway to 2/3 up the stairs, in addition to all of those lights turning on bright green, you start to hear the hum of maybe a generator or something waking up and beginning to power everything in a very big kind of way.
That's not a good sound.
Run. I say we run. I say we go. We need to get out.
Hurry.
All right, we're running up the stairs.
Oh yeah.
Not running,
Okay.
but going a bit faster. She's gonna be safe enough carrying Alice.
Okay. I'm gonna ask for risk rolls from all of you as you are trying to quickly traverse this staircase that is not meant for somebody of your size and proportions.
And
again, you can always add a dark die if you're willing to risk life and limb to make this work.
Devil's bargain, you twist your ankle.
Oh yeah.
That's an option. I would say Devil's bargain, the process of running kicks up a lot of the dust and potentially either gets on starts to obscure your vision, or maybe even we'll obscures your vision. We'll go with that.
Well, ooh. I think Pratik is he's scared enough now. He's gonna do it. He's gonna.
Okay.
So,
You're gonna take
so I
that.
roll one
Are you
risk
taking
and one.
Are you taking the twist your ankle or the dust in the faceplate? Devil's bargain.
I'm going to take. Good question. I am going to take the twist ankle. I mean, does that definitely happens?
I'm gonna remind you before you do that the devil's bargain is going to happen regardless of whether you succeed or not.
Oh, never mind then.
It gives you the extra chance of success.
I'm gonna just roll straight then.
Okay, and again, you can always add a dark die if you're willing to risk life and limb to make this work.
No, you know what? I think so. I'm gonna add the dark die. I'm gonna add. So two dice, right? Just that.
Yeah, a light and a dark. Yep.
Light in the dark. That like matters. They're all d6s. But let's do this.
You need to know which one's which is the thing. Yeah.
Gotcha. Yeah, makes sense. Please, God.
I think Alice is gonna go with the dust devil's bargain because me as a player, that's probably better for her. That she's like in the dark probly feels a lot better, even though she's terrified.
That is interesting. Sorry, go ahead.
What'd you get?
I got 6 on both of them.
Oh.
Okay.
Oh dear.
I don't know how that happened.
So
yeah.
here's what happens for you. Okay. So here's what happens. You succeed. You're able to run up there. But what's your current room can't possibly be 6 to this point.
Mine's at 3.
3. It also increases your ruin because as you are running up these stairs that are it's you can't quite get the gate right, and it's doing weird things to like your muscles.
I'm pulling a hamstring.
Yeah, you're pulling a hamstring pretty bad as you're trying to do this. So your ruin goes up by 1, but you do manage to run up the stairs.
Wow, that was interesting.
Does Alice, since she's not actually running, since I'm carrying her, does she actually have to roll risk?
No, but
you're right.
her fate is tied into yours.
Okay, so I'm gonna roll normally and see what happens.
All right.
4.
Perfect. So you're also able to get up the stairs at a faster speed, but what happens is that in the process of doing this, you have this similar problem. You don't take an extra ruin from it, but you have a similar problem to what Pratik had, where, especially with the awkward of carrying another person, trying to get the gate right is not really, it takes you almost to the top before you can kind of figure it out. And you stumble at the top. It doesn't hurt Alice, but you fall to your knees, and in the process of catching yourself, have somehow knocked out your one of the cords for your comms. You can still hear everybody, but there's a lot of static in the background.
So cursing and static and cursing.
And what happens with Ingrid?
Yeah, so I
what did Ingrid
rolled a light die and got a 1, which I was not happy with, so I will re-roll an additional dark die.
Yep.
Oh no.
Which is a 2.
Oh no.
And because the dark die is currently the highest die in my rolled die pool, I actually can't roll another one, so I'm stuck with the failure.
Cannot. You're stuck with the failure. So, okay. So I'm gonna say you succeed here. You're able to keep up with everybody. But something weird happens with your eyesight in the process. You're not quite sure what it is or why, but suddenly the red dust of Mars has lost some of its saturation. But the green lights from the energy, suddenly it's brilliant greens, shades of green you didn't even know existed.
Oh. Okay.
I didn't realize how terrifyingly appropriate that Ulfrig's Aurora Borealis background would be for this.
I didn't quite either. I just thought it was kind of cool and spacey-ish. So,
Oh
Yeah.
man, that's perfect.
Oh god.
So yeah, so the anything you see red, like the dials on your suits, the dust, anything red is just suddenly completely desaturated for you. But the green is so much brighter, so much more brilliant. Like it's shades of green you didn't even know could exist until right now. You saw some of these shades of green in one of your visions earlier.
Ingrid is probably going to be a bit distracted, but actually a bit excited by that because maybe this is vision knowledge coming back. So. But definitely running.
Yes. And London, as you stand up and help Alice get back up, you again, you've got some weird interference with your suit now. And in the static and hiss between words, you hear some sort of sound. It sounds intentional, but it's not, you can't quite grasp it. It sounds maybe like words, but muffled. But it's just in the like hisses of static in your comms.
Guys, I'm getting some kind of feedback. There's like someone talking.
Do we hear? Or is the
You guys
communication?
don't have static. It is just London.
Oh,
Okay.
It's my comms fritzing out, and
No, I was gonna ask: do we hear London saying this?
Oh yeah, you hear London saying this. Sorry. Yep.
Okay.
it's
Okay.
We can fix on
let's
the
make
ship.
it. Yes, let's go. And Pratik's just gonna. Well, he's gonna double check and he's gonna look at London. So first off, aside from your comms, everything else, is it okay?
mm-hmm.
You okay?
Yes. She helps Alice back up and picks her up again.
Do you need help carrying Alice?
I've got her. Just go.
Okay, let's go.
At this point, you see the green glow things is starting to, you see you're at the top of on that same flat ledge as before. It is not pitch black anymore. There's that shifting, kind of pulsing green glow kind of like flowing over the bridge as a lot of things, electronics that have been dormant for years are beginning to wake up. You hear the sounds of things beginning to move, but not metallic things like the robot from earlier.
Okay.
A lot of bodies beginning to move and
Oh, multiple.
shift. Like,
we might have woken them.
We need to get back. We need to get back soon.
Mm-hmm.
To warn everybody about this.
This planet is alive. There's actual living something. I can't tell. We never saw a. Anyways, we can discuss this once we're back in base.
Yes,
We
please,
need to get
back,
this.
back, please. Like almost pure panic in her voice at that point. She's just very scared of everything.
And as this is going on, Pratik is thinking of all the things that they could do to like, because I'm assuming because we're at that last month, we've already started preparing for our departure back home. So is the
a lot of
rocket?
stuff's packed.
Yeah. So it's pretty much everything's necessary is packed. Is it at this point is it safe to say that we could launch that rocket back home now? Like,
You would have to get back to the base, and there's other people there. You weren't the only ones manning the base.
Oh,
so you
okay.
would have to. I mean, it's totally doable. The rocket is ready to launch. It's just it was supposed to be a 1-year mission. And
Besides,
another year.
space information, maybe not, because we might have to wait for a specific window
That's
of
true.
opportunity
I forgot about
travel.
that.
Oh yeah.
or else we might
Right.
run out of gas because we were supposed to be
Yeah.
moving this distance and instead it was this
forgot about
distance.
that. That's there. So
Or just
while
be
you
off target.
are correct, you are
no
cor-
escape.
The rocket can be launched. It functionally, you can hit the button to launch the rocket. The problem
You
is
just won't make
that
home.
the mission was designed. The rocket doesn't have enough.
Whatever.
It's whatever. Fuel isn't quite right, but like it's the rocket is not designed to be necessarily maneuverable, and it needs to launch in a specific window in order to make contact with Earth, or you're going to go flying past it.
Yep.
So while the rocket can be launched, it's not necessarily should be launched.
Fair.
Running.
Yep.
Running.
Back to base. Then.
Back home. Back to
Sorry
my
to foil your plan with space facts, but space facts.
No, that was
remember reading
great.
Something about that. I
Space
don't know where I
facts.
was reading something about that, where like it needed to be lined up in order for like our curiosity things to hit Mars. So that's super valid. So you make it. You're running past that ledge through the electronic plate lightning hallway.
Remember to duck.
Nope, they're disabled.
One side is.
Only
the
one
other
of them was.
One of them was.
Right. Well, the Pratik is in the front, and he remembers disabling one of the plates, so he's just gonna go walk past. Which, like, he's thinking everything is safe up till this point because they were able to get through. And because remember, I thought we said that we by disabling
you're shorter than below. Like it's
Oh, yeah.
disabled. Like there's multiple plates. Like that are in somewhat of pairs. You disabled one of those pairs, but I remember that Pratik is short enough to walk underneath it without worrying about Alice, who's currently being carried.
Yeah, Pratik is 5'2", so yeah.
Yeah. So as you run through this, you look behind you and see I'm gonna need a ruin roll from everybody.
Yep.
But you see tall, emaciated, pale man from Pan's Labyrinth-esque creatures beginning to line up and walk across the bridge. Walking is not really the right word. It's almost a running / antelope loping run.
Okay. Well, I keep forgetting if risk needs to be high or low, but I got a 6.
Well, ruin needs to be lower, so that's a bummer for you. So you take an extra ruin for.
Okay,
so
it's terrifying. So does
I'm at
Alice.
5.
You're at 5. That's a bummer.
I'm at 4.
You're at 4. London, what did you get?
I have a 2.
Okay, you're fine.
I
Ingrid.
Was at 3 and rolled a 4, so it goes up to 4 now.
You go up. Okay, so everybody except for London takes an extra ruin from seeing this. An entire army, and then some of tall, elongated, just
Creepy.
pale white creatures with like long faces and long bones in their skull. As you run out pass through the hallway of electricity, back out into the Martian sand dunes and desert, and jump on your rover and slam on the gas on the way back to base to warn everybody else about what's coming. And that's where we're gonna end. Fade to black.
We survived.
You
We're
survived.
still stuck on this
Kinda
planet
barely.
for a month.
And
With
no
this.
one,
Survived.
With an undead alien army.
and
No.
no one ever sees Alice ever again outside of her lab. She is being.
We survived the session, though. That was not guaranteed.
That was not a guarantee. No.
Oh god.
Oh my gosh.
That
Wait, what does
started so
5 mean
slow.
again on the risk?
On the ruin.
Oh, yeah, ruin.
It was a ruin roll, so it was a you needed to roll below your current
Right.
ruin in order to not take more.
No, I'm saying I brought it up to 5, right? My total.
Oh yeah, no. The problem. So like once you hit 5, if we were continuing, at 5 is when you can start making reduction rolls to try and drop it down.
Gotcha.
But if you failed and you ended up at 6, your character is lost in some way, either physically or is just gone.
Also,
Okay.
point of order on reduction roll. You may now reduce it when your character attempts subtle acts of sabotage against their companions.
Yep.
That's oh god.
Oh, man.
God. Oh
Yep.
god.
There's
I'm
a
just
reason
gonna go-
like the first line of the trophy instructions are play to lose.
That's why I did the foolish things, even though she's scared shitless, because I wanted drama. / I'm also gonna do just one of these where I'm just gonna curl up into a ball for a little bit.
Oh
Someone
my
had to
God.
be the voice of reason here, okay?
Yeah. All right, so that was excellent. I want to do a little bit of an outro. So shedding our characters and they are gone. Tell us who you are, where we can find you on the internet this week if you've got something coming up you want to plug in the next week or so, and your one of your nice Frank, and one of the moments you really enjoyed from tonight. And we will start with Shay.
Hello, I'm Shay Foxy, and I can be found on the interwebs as Shay Foxy. You can find me at Twitch, at DeviantArt, and at Twitter. I am active on DeviantArt as a commission artist, and you can find my books, which are LGBT fantasy bestsellers, at darksbanebooks.com. And I am currently streaming every Tuesday from 8 p.m. till 12 a.m. Central Daylight Time, and that is a urban fantasy game that is set in the same world as my first novels. And this was a custom system that my wife and I have developed for about 15 years. Ulfrig is actually in the game, so she's one of my players. And we'll be doing that every Tuesday night on twitch.tv/ShayFoxy. So come check us out there. I'm also going to be running a one-shot of Knights of the Kitchen Table on August 3rd on Welcome to the Party. So you can catch us there, and that's me. So I think my favorite thing is just the amount of rocks we threw tonight. Rocks were the real
In the
MVP.
day.
Rocks the real
Real
MVP.
all the
I love
Martian
you guys
rocks.
for your sciencey rock throwing. That was just brilliant. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Awesome. And to Angela.
Hello there, everyone. I am your perpetually anxious being, both in and out of games, Angela. You can find me on Twitter at Phoenix24fem, where I just post a lot of trans feels and share about different things related to that, and mostly BLM-related stuff and leftist thought. You can find me on Patreon at Philosophim, where I do... it's been a little delayed for a bit, but I'm getting back to doing poetry and other writings related to my first homebrew world that I ran actual campaign in on Welcome to the Party and Homebrew World of Agni, and where I will likely be sometime in the future posting my writings, or at least outlines of my second homebrew world of Erovin, which sadly I've had to step back from running on the channel for personal reasons. But yeah, you can find me there, or you can find me at Queerly Yours, which is a relationship podcast I do with my partner. We're a polyamorous, trans, interracial couple who talk a lot about different relationship things. It's been a while since we've done a new episode, but a lot of our advice usually just boils down to talk to your partner. No, seriously, talk to your partner. For the love of God, talk to your partner. It actually solves almost all of your problems if you're able to do that. Like, really, please, for the love of God, do this. Also, ask yourself very frequently, are the straights okay? Not actually, but it is a question to ask. They're not.
All right.
But that, and yeah, I think that covers everything. Oh, and I also do music commissions. So if you're looking for a website, TTRPG campaign, or just you need music for some particular reason, I do commissions. And I do pretty decent work if I do see so myself.
She's really good. And what was a favorite moment from tonight?
My favorite moment is, honestly, I just love that critique. Even if I might think for a moment excessive, I'm like, this is commitment to the how much this character really cares about all of these details. I'm like, you know what? I've probably met someone like this. This is not a character. This is a person I've met who wants to know. If someone asks what the first 5 details about something are, this person will ask the first 50 as a start. And that's commitment. I love that. That's a very well developed character idea.
Awesome. And over to KP.
Hi, everybody. I'm KP. I'm also known as KP11 Photos on most social media. So I'm on Twitter, I'm on Twitch, I'm also on Instagram. I'm primarily a cosplay slash portrait photographer. You might have seen some of my work online. Recently, I also got into Twitch streaming. I actually have a few live shows that I do. One of them, which is happening tomorrow at 5 p.m. Pacific time. Correction, sorry, 7 p.m. Pacific time. And it's called KP Storytime, where essentially I sit down with my dad and he narrates Hindu mythology, gives more context to them as he narrates them that you might not get if you were to read them on your own. Basically, the entire purpose of the show being that I feel that a lot of Western audiences, people do not really know much about stories and settings and characters and tropes beyond the Western, like medieval time civilizations, medieval culture that we know of and base our fantasy around. So hoping that this kind of sparks a little more imagination in you guys and kind of brings, several new ideas for whatever creative venture you might come about on, and also bring more understanding between people, because I feel that a lot of understanding really helps bridge and connect people together. On top of that, every Saturday, well, not every Saturday, have only had one so far, but next Saturday and going forward, hopefully, at 11 a.m. Pacific time, I have KP's Kitchen Caboodle, which is a weird name, I know, but spare me. I mean, don't hurt me for that. But essentially, I cook a dish that I have no idea how to do. I'm not a cook in real life, but my wonderful wife, my mom, and several of my friends are. And essentially, they're going to help walk me through and show me how to cook one Indian dish or specialty, so that you guys be able to learn how to do yourself. Because I'm sure most of you are like me, don't really know how. And then, yeah, that's pretty much it. I have a lot of fun live shows, like TTRPG live shows coming about. One of my favorite ones that I'm currently involved in is Waverly Summer of 98 with Sarah, my DM again. She is amazing, and we have an amazing team. Essentially, the way I like to describe it is Stranger Things, but set in the 90s. So a lot of that 90s nostalgia. I was able to convince one of the characters to eat 3 warheads. So there you go. Best day ever. But it's a lot of a lot of fun, and I highly, highly recommend you guys check that out. So that's where I'm at.
Awesome. And what was one of your favorite
Oh.
things from tonight?
Oh my God. I think everything was so good. I was gonna say the rocks thing, but outside of that, the bridal carry. I think
Yes.
me convincing you guys to do it was my highlight of the night. Also, the panic that I created by almost pressing the elevator button and potentially leaving Ingrid behind.
Splitting the party.
No, my goal was, at least Pratik's idea behind that was that Ingrid is going to run the opposite direction through the exit, and she's going to get out that way, and we're going to be able to escape so no one dies from this situation. At least that was the logic behind that. But hey, things played out differently, and we are still alive, so all works out.
All right, and Ulfrig.
Hello, I go by Ulfrig on the interwebs. You can mostly find me chilling on Discord. Tomorrow night I will be over on Shay's channel playing Supernatural Investigators. And Saturday nights you can find me on Story Girls channel starting at 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern, playing Star Trek Adventures, where I played the ship's adorable telepathic nervous cinnamon roll. And my favorite moment of the night, oh my gosh, probably just learning the phrase judgmental enabler, actually. That might be a highlight for me.
Take it, do with it what you will.
And I am Sarah. I am Sarah of Swords on Twitter, where I'm currently taking mostly a break, except to retweet announcements of when my shows are live. But that's where you can find me. I am also, as KP mentioned, I am the GM for Waverly Summer 98, our Saturday night game, 8 p.m. Eastern, playing the Bubblegum Shoe system with some teen detectives, 90s nostalgia, and extreme supernatural fae weirdness that is going down in this town right now. So that's where you can find me. And I just love caution hot as the label warning. And that's what you were shouting at the giant robot as. That's like one of my favorite tropes is when people are screaming the wrong language word at the thing. That it's beautiful. It's so funny.
Biblioteca! Biblioteca!
Yeah.
No, wrong word.
Just shouting everything wrong. That was beautiful. And also all of you just like bought into all of this, and I loved all the science that you were doing. Like,
yeah,
I'm a GM who loves that my players do stuff like that. So it was great. So thank you all for playing. Thank you all for watching. Chat, you were wonderful. You're great humans.
thank you guys.
So you are all rad. We are going to go raid Goblin Cave TV, who's currently playing Pathfinder. So we're going to give them a big shout out in the chat when we get there. Next show on this channel, I actually genuinely think is Waverly on Saturday. So we're going to be dark for a few days for the rest of the week. And then if you tune back in, you will see me and KP and a few other rad people. So thank you again all for joining us tonight. Really appreciate it. Thank you to all your players, and have a good night.
Take care, everyone.
Guys.
Bye.
Bye. Good night.
Bye.
Okay, and there's the raid.
Yay! That was so fun.
Thank
That
you
was
all.
By the
lot of
way,
fun.
Sarah, thank you so much. This was fantastic. You did a
amazing.
great
Thank
job.
you. Thank you. I had a lot of fun. Thank you all for rolling with us. No pun intended, but I'll take it.
I would say we
I-
rocked it.
Yeah.
I have to note for the record, because
Nice.
I couldn't say it while we were on, but I feel like, KP, if you weren't doing Indian dishes, that you are missing a grand opportunity to have, given who's helping you out with the cooking, for folks to help you walk the walk.
Ah.
I think that went over my head because I didn't get it. What do you mean?
Walk
Using
Like
a
the
walk,
walk.
a walk
Oh,
you cook,
walk.
and a walk